2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What is the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, Tony Dunn, a.k.a. The Professor. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan experience. Tonight's show, talk about experience. The Panthers, this is the title of the show, guys. It's a good one. Panthers add experience and an old dude while watching the NFL Super Bowl. The Carolina Panthers have acquired a defensive line coach that is old father time. They've lost a couple of assistant coaches, and the Super Bowl is this week. They're going to be watching from their couches. This 72-year-old guy has seen every Super Bowl, every single Super Bowl. Cody, my co-host, my wheelman, thank you for joining me. We are one episode. This is the final episode of the year. This is how I time these shows. In fact, a lot of viewers or listeners don't even know how I do the rhythm. But this season right now was 21. If you look like on your podcast on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, it says season 21. Next week is season 2022 because I end it with the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is the end. Next week is the beginning of a new year. But we got to watch this great game, dude. Man, there's a lot to talk about. And this old guy has seen everything. Have you seen? How much have you seen? Welcome back.
I put out a funny tweet about our brand new coach, and that he looks just as confused as we are about his hire. But listen, Tony Dunn, we have a fantastic Super Bowl right in front of us. We have a really good matchup that, frankly, I'm excited about. I'm looking forward to watching this Super Bowl. I think it's going to be fun. But first and foremost, you know that there is nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than sitting here with my boys hanging, talking Carolina Panther football with the best fans in all of YouTube, Tony. You already know them and love them. We got my man Drew, ATX19, Brad Dugan, David Screws, Joey the Blind Panther, Kego Fort, MJ, Off Grid, Panthers Rule, Paul Mancini, the 9 Lives Podcast, The Factor One, Tim Estes, Trap, Underground West, Trail One, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The Carolina Panthers, hired Paul Pasqualoni. I'm pretty sure that. Well, actually, I'm not pretty sure if that's pronounced properly.
I've been saying Pasqualoni. That's how it reads phonetically. Pasqualoni.
Paul Pasqualoni, hired as defensive line coach. Frisman, Jackson Simmons leave. These are our assistant coaches, one going to Pittsburgh, one going to Las Vegas. At 9:30 tonight, we've got Bob Rose coming on to help us talk about, or not talk about, help us talk about, but tell us some more about what's going on in New Orleans, as Eric Bieniemy spent 8 hours with that ownership group, but they decided to hire Dennis Allen, defensive coordinator, to take over. Thank God it wasn't poor David Culley. So we got that. We got Super Bowl prop bets. We got the best and worst moments of 2021 for the Carolina Panthers, but we got the best crew in the house. CK,
What up?
the bestest voice, the bestest voice. Welcome back to the C3 Panthers podcast.
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here, and I'm here for the long haul tonight. And listen, it's interesting. We talk about the Panthers listening to the podcast and the brass listen. I mean, and it might be because we all kind of have we are a voice of the fans, as we are fans, and I think a lot of fans share a lot of the same opinions, and so it might be a bit vain of us to assume it's because they're listening to our podcast, but I consider us to be the voice of the Carolina Panthers fan base, and right now they're clearly listening to what we're saying, because they are doing everything they can to hire experience, and at this point you almost wonder, are they overcorrecting a bit with the amount of real focus they have on non-college
They went from zero
coaches.
experience to father time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, right. CK, you're right. They went from zero guy to who's the guy that fell asleep under the willow tree for like a bazillion year old, Rip Van Winkle. They went from nobody has zero experience to the guy that has the most experience in the world.
Yeah.
So, a lot to talk about there. Greg, the Bat Daddy, the Stat Daddy, and also the Man of Many podcast. Welcome back.
Thanks, man. Always fun. I said that last week when I was talking about the hiring of the staff. I was saying he's oversteering, and it looks like he's just digging for deeper into that right now.
Continuing to go,
yeah.
Like when you hit the snow or something, and you're like, you're like, don't jerk.
He's turning the reel the wrong way. Like he's going to start spinning out.
I think he's turning it the right way. I just think you should have done it back at that last curve.
Yeah, or he's doing it too much right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the question. Is it overcorrection? Is it correction? Is it too little, too late?
Right.
Are you correcting the wheels while you're tumbling down the cliff? Who knows? The number is 252-228-5098. That is 252-228-5098. Join the longest running Panthers podcast, the C3 Panthers podcast. Run on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher. Smash the thumbs up button, subscribe. Be a part of the community. Jump in this live ass chat room. When I say live, these guys keep us on our toes. But I'm telling you, you can just help us by subscribing and being a part of the community. Let's jump into tonight's show.
And you know what, Tony, before we go forward, let me tell you about the people in this chat room. On the Friday free-for-all, we had some strong donations. Shout out to the C3 family. Love you, boys. Love you, girls. Happy to have you all here. And we've already started the show strong, Tony Dunn. David Screws with the $5 says the new defensive line coach will fit in good with Phil Snow.
They can be golf buddies, except for Phil Snow doesn't do anything but coach. That is kind of cool, and that's what we've heard from Matt Rule a little bit. It's like Phil Snow's in here before everybody, never leaves. This man, like, he sweeps the floors. He got another dude that's just like that. These guys are going to be best buds.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be in the sauna together.
Wearing no towels.
What else are they going to do? They're probably, like, make sure they're eating their yogurt in the morning.
They're going to be, eating yogurt in the morning, talking about football, and talking about how they don't like their wives.
Oh, zing. Or how they love their wives because they've been with them forever. All right. So tell me, does anybody even know? Has anybody even Googled this guy and what he's done? Paul,
the picture Cody sent me.
So he's been with Florida, with the Florida Gators. Shout out to Brad Dugan in the chat. He's been with the Florida Gators, and he's been a defensive line coach for a long time, and he is.
All right, let's get back into his early 60s. How about that? Let's go back 12 years. See where was he at?
Hey, you are not make fun. That's right around the corner for you, Professor. In the blink. Hey, man, the the 70s will be here for you in the blink, man. So be cool, man. Hey, some people are at their best once they have some seasoning on them. Once they've been left in the oven for a little while, they've been left to cook.
An aged steak. But all right, so he was at college. It was in Florida. Okay, thanks, Brad. What the hell else has he done? Give me some more. There's got to be some more than just some Florida Gators.
Didn't look up too much about him before the show.
I thought you guys had it. I thought you said
the only thing I knew is that he was a big part of the Florida Gators team.
Yeah, he was the head coach of Syracuse for 14 years, connected with 3 more, as 40 years total coaching, 10 years in the NFL.
10 years in the NFL. Let me hear these. Does anybody have the stats on 10 years in the NFL?
He has served as a tight ends, linebackers, and defensive line coach with the Cowboys, and he worked in the Houston and Chicago. He was also a defensive coordinator in Miami from 2008 2009 and Detroit.
Miami Dolphins?
Yep.
He was at Dolphins
defensive coordinator, and he was the Detroit defensive coordinator from 18 to 19. Spent the last 2 seasons as the assistant of the University of Florida. So that's pretty.
What do you guys think about a defensive line coach? We wanted, and back to CK's comment about an overcorrection. We wanted experience on this coaching staff, or at least maybe I did.
Right.
We pointed to the inexperience as being at least a challenge for this team going forward. And it looks like Matt Rule has, like you said, corrected significantly. We're talking about the Chris Tabor, the special teams coordinator who's got like 12 years of experience in the NFL.
Right.
Ben McAdoo, right? Like the list is like all of a sudden these guys have been places in the NFL. This guy, though, the group of guys that he is going to be coaching is the doggiest of dogs on the team. They have to be, right? Like you got to be the most alpha. Like, I mean, I won't say alpha. I hate that because that's what Matt Rule always says. But you got to be the meanest mug to play defensive line. You got to be the meanest dude on the street. You're the guy that you walk down the alleyway and you see that dude and you turn around. You don't want to fuck with him.
Right.
Like you are an aggressive, mean, angry, take your lunch, meanest person on the earth. Typically, the things we not teach our kids to be. Right? Like,
I mean, like typically.
Right. But that's your job. Like you have to have that attitude. You gotta I want you to. Is bringing old man Pops in here like a wizard move? Like, oh yeah, because we can bring this old gnarly ass dude who's been through all this shit, I guess. Is he gonna be able to relate? I want to know, what does it take to motivate the Spartans on your team?
So,
and is a 72 Paul Pasqualoni, who I love Italian cats, is he the right guy for the job?
The only thing I hope is that he's a teacher. First and foremost, when you're a coach, you are a teacher. And we're dealing with very young football
He could be a
players.
teacher, but he's 72, bro.
No, but here's the deal. At 72, he is not going to be anywhere near the meanest motherfucker on the football team. In fact, far from it. I'm sorry. Like, and maybe he just has some.
But actually, he might be the meanest motherfucker. He didn't drink his prune juice. Imagine salesman going into salesman's in here, and I was about to send him a message every day. I'd take a poop. I'd be like, God, I think I pooped more than this dude. But this would be like salesman getting in the bathroom and there being no toilet paper. He could be an old mean man that way.
Dude, you put a toboggan and a yellow jacket on him, and he's Mickey from Rocky.
Yeah.
Look at him. Look at him. I'm telling you, man. If he acts like that, I'm cool. If he's got that kind of,
I don't know about it. I don't know about it. I don't know if I should love it like you said. Do I like Mickey? But Jesus Christ, this is old.
My thing is this:
old.
Look, he needs to be a teacher. because we have a lot of young guys who don't do a lot of everything well. We have guys that are specialists. We have guys like Brian Burns, who is fast and mobile and athletic, but we're still talking about his ability to set a physical edge. And to me, it's not necessarily that Brian Burns lacks the physical strength to do it. It's just that he lacks the proper technique to be able to set a physical edge. He has the incredibly long arms. He has a powerful frame. But we need a defensive line coach that's going to be able to teach these guys up. And listen, I don't know shit about this old man, so I'm not going to sit here and fake like I do and pass a judgment on what kind of person or coach he is. The only thing that I can genuinely hope for is that he is going to come in prepared to make these guys better football players than they were before. And if they're willing to buy into that, then I'm down for it.
With his overhead projector.
Dude, hand technique, hand
how
placement.
Is this 72-year-old man going to teach the hand technique? I'm not saying he can't teach it, like, period, but, like, is he the most capable at this moment?
It's very ageist of you, Tony Don.
Yes, it is a little ageist.
A 70-something-year-old man can't teach?
No, we can teach, but like at the end of the day, like you're teaching the most.
Did you say we can teach?
Can you teach Green Berets? Like, yeah, I mean, you could teach like some old man defense, but like, do you teach the Navy SEALs? I don't know if you do that.
Well, was he the head coach at Syracuse for the last 14 years, and that was his last job? Because I mean, I think
that's great at sending emails. He's gonna have to teach Brian Burns how to beast up on a motherfucker.
So, Greg, the last time he was a head coach was with Connecticut from 2011 to 2013.
Okay.
Gotcha. They could teach him the Charleston Black Belt.
But he's been. But listen, he has been the defensive line coach for a lot of football teams that had really good defensive lines. The Bears in 2014, the Texans in 2015, and I believe that's when J.J. Watt was wreaking havoc for the Houston Texans. Boston College defensive line coach. They put out some NFL players. So, I mean, there's reason to be hopeful. Again, if we're looking at these pictures and just judging a book by its cover, it's like, yeah, we hired Mr. Magoo to be our defensive line coach. But
can I ask one question for the Stat Daddy before we move on? Stat Daddy, what years did he coach for the Lions? Because this picture right here looks like
2018 and 19.
Okay. All right. So it was only 4 years ago.
Yeah. I mean,
if that was 2008, I was going to be worried. Oh, my God.
I'm not going to lie. If I look at this picture right here from 2018, I'm assuming it's from then because he's wearing a Lions
yeah, it looks good.
He doesn't look. I wouldn't pin him at 70. I guess.
No, it's a good 72. But yeah, getting out there and like showing you how to get low, get your butt down.
I don't think he's gonna be doing burpees and stuff like that. But
all right,
I don't know.
You're right.
We'll see.
Right. It is ageist, but geez, it just
CK
feels
right,
like the dog. Like it's one thing to be offensive coordinator and be old, where you are the coordinator.
Yeah.
Well,
but it'd be like this. Imagine you'd be like, hey, we got this new fucking water boy right here. And he had like a walker. You'd be like, Jesus.
Look, CK hit the nail on the head, and the fact that it's like now we're doing this course correcting, and now we've gone back 1,000% the other way. We had these young coaches. We had a youth movement going on here in Carolina. And then the main criticism that Joe Pershin's article on the Panthers ended up revealing was that everybody's saying there isn't enough NFL know-how amongst this coaching staff. There's just not enough veteran leadership that has NFL experience. So then you look at the guys that they've hired in this cycle, and it seems to be a reflection of Matt Rule answering those criticisms. He wants guys that have NFL experience. Now, I certainly think that it'll help more than than what we've been watching for this Carolina Panthers team, especially late in the season and even late in football games. I think there's a real lack of technical know-how, but I'm hoping that a hire like this could potentially help with all of the things that Matt Rule is so clearly inept at.
As we added a very seasoned, like a aged defensive line coach and a good Italian guy, Pasqualoni. We lost a couple of coaches. Frisman Jackson, who had been, this is according to the Riot Report, interesting, he put. Frisman Jackson had been Matt Rule's wide receivers coach and at Temple, Baylor with the Panthers. Now he leaves for the same job for Pittsburgh. So Frisman Jackson, now wide receiver coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Las Vegas Raiders are also expected to hire Carolina Panthers defensive passing game coordinator and defensive backs coach Jason Simmons to coach their secondary. So as the Panthers add a lot of experience, they lose a couple of coaches from this staff. Now, I love how the internet reacts to everything because I'm asking you to watch this show, smash the thumbs up button. But what do you guys think about this? Is like some people are like, oh my God, what does this tell us about the coaching staff and the future of Matt Rule? And I think we already knew all of this. But you guys, what do y'all see from these exodus while we get this aged meat defensive line coach?
I think that the you're talking about the coaches exiting is worth.
Yeah, like does this? So I saw a couple of people on Twitter said this as they said like, oh, this tells us something about like the stability, like wanting to work for Matt Rule, blah blah blah. So they were doing this, but at the same time, I've been criticizing that I don't like this staff. Period.
Yeah.
So I don't really care that these two cats left.
Well, I agree. I don't care they left either, but there was an interesting point in the chat room earlier. I'm not sure who said it, and they were talking about how assistant coaches usually only stay about 2 years. They're kind of nomads, and that makes sense, especially with like the wide receiver coach who was with him in college, then moved to the pros. Now he's had 2 years in the pros. Maybe now he wants to be a pro coach and not go back. So, I mean, it's possible that could be the reason behind
for
it.
Getting a job after this shit. Imagine trying to get a job and being like, what's your number one thing? I was with the Panthers last year. Like, oh God.
What do you have as your resume builder?
Doesn't speak well we lost all the defensive backs and secondary coaches, which was supposed to be the best part of our team last year. So,
that's good. All right. So, wait, say it again. Secondaries coach, yes. Wide receivers, come on.
No, defensive backs.
Let's see. This one is secondary. So I could see that. You'd be like, hey, number 2 defense. This guy was, I'd be like, man, I coached Robbie Anderson into dropping everything.
Yeah, DJ Moore had a bunch of drops. Listen, the receiver
DJ
coach,
Moore is fine, but like you couldn't. All right, so Frisman
the
Jackson,
receiver coach is
him.
whatever to
Good
me.
for him. How about this? Is Frisman Jackson gets to go from a team that has struggled to field 2 receivers at the same time. That's kind of been the mantra. The story of the Carolina Panthers in the history of their team is the search for 2 good receivers at the same time. We've occasionally hit it, right? So you got Steve Smith and Masih Muhammad a couple of times. You got who
have
else
we really
had?
I don't think we've really had a duo.
Oh, so we got Ricky Pro, and so think about this: is that the Panthers have always historically been searching for a second receiver. I think in this is the times we had Kerry Colbert, we were trying to get Dwayne Jarrett. Kelvin. All right, so you move on from Steve Smith. You try to get Kelvin Benjamin, Devin Funchess. Have we ever had 2 at the same time? And it wasn't until last year, arguably.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you could say, oh, man, we're going to have Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore for 2 more years. We'll be all right. Trying to think of this. What were the duos? Think of the duos that. Well, anyway, as you guys in the chat will solve this, tell us the best Panther duos and the years of that duo at wide receiver. And at the same time, think about this: as Frisman Jackson gets to go from that to a wide receiver factory in Pittsburgh.
But they also have no quarterback now, and
right.
I mean, but they have a great head coach.
Oh gosh, Steve Smith and Keyshawn Johnson. Shut up, Kevin. Come on. All right, Moose and Smitty. We know that. So we've had those 2 years. We had maybe 1 year. All right, so God, who is it? Moose and Smitty. Think of the best years in Panthers history and offense. All right, so in 2003, we made the Super Bowl. That is Smitty and Musa Muhammad. 2005 and 8, we made playoffs, I believe. One was double trouble. Steve Smith. I don't know if we had a real number 2 at that time. The best that we got after that may have been Brandon LaFell and Steve Smith for a minute.
LaFell's never.
And then we got to the 2013 season. All right, so we went 12-4 and 20. I bet you the next best duo was Ted Ginn Jr. and Steve Smith. 2013.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the best. But this guy's going to a wide receiver factory. Anyway.
But Ginn was no good then, wasn't he? Isn't that why we got rid of him?
No, Ted Ginn was no, he was good for us in spurts. He was terrible. All right, so he was drafted very high for the Miami Dolphins, like number 1 or 2 overall. Like, it was crazy. Like, he got maybe his top 10. But Ted Ginn got drafted as he was a he was a returner for Ohio State. Amazing. Right, speed. I mean, this guy actually had all the tools. He just he didn't have the best hands.
Right.
And he got drafted a little too high, probably in Miami, not under the best circumstances. Didn't get to live up to that superstar status. Then I think he bounced around one team and then came to Carolina.
Hey, here's your answer, Tony Dunn. That's the answer right there.
Oh,
LaFell
and the Nene. What was his name? The Nane?
Legadoo Nane.
Legadoo Nane.
Dude, that guy did have a pretty damn.
All right, so but Ted Ginn. All right, just to finish the question on Ted Ginn, or the point is Ted Ginn had a kind of surprising turn with us in 2013. I think it was 2013. Yeah, 2013 punt return, real good on special teams. Started to earn his stripes a little bit on the offense. Mm-hmm. Then he got to deal with the Cardinals, then came back. Again, man, Ted Ginn on special teams, dude. You kick that dude always got 10 yards positive on a punt return. Always. We watched a whole when was the last time we saw the Panthers advance the ball on a punt?
It's been a minute. Dude, listen, out of all these 2 bits of news that you just brought up to me right here, though, man, I actually think our defensive back coach, that might – I mean, again, right. we have good players, but I think our defense, if you look at having young guys like C.J. Henderson and J.C. Horn, I think it was good to have an aggressive passing game coordinator like that guy on our football team. And so I think he's probably going to be missed. I think a lot of it is just actually going to be dependent on our new defensive coordinator. And if our defensive line is able to get pressure, I really expect our defensive backs to be able to get interceptions no matter what, just because of how athletic they are and how physical they are. But I don't know. To me, it's like, why wouldn't you go and, go to a football team that has some higher trajectories? Pittsburgh made the playoffs. The Raiders made the playoffs. It's like, abandon this ship now, especially if Matt Rule is looking to save his job through free agency and the draft.
Last point. Look, Bob Rose coming to joining us. Joining us. Bob Rose, for the Saints News Network, and Bayou Blitz podcast going to come and help us figure out why the heck Dennis Allen got the job and some other people didn't. But the last point I wanted to make about these coaches leaving, and I thought someone said this that was interesting, are these the offensive coaches leaving maybe just a sign that Ben McAdoo has a little bit more control over his staff, of who he wants to put together. It's like these aren't his guys, things like that.
I really have a hard time with that. I don't know. One of the things that we continuously learn is that Matt Rule has a tremendous amount of say-so in how the Panthers operate. And apparently, and I think this is probably as good a time as any to play this, Matt Rule has it in his contract that he has final say on roster decisions. And this is a short clip of Jonathan Alexander speaking to that.
Matt Rule has his contract that he has final say over roster decisions. Many of the decisions are at the direction of Matt Rule, and there were some decisions, that were mistakes. Particularly, trading away Teddy Bridgewater as early as possible, trading away Denzel Perryman, not drafting an offensive lineman or a quarterback when this class doesn't have them. So I do think it would be it would be beneficial, if Scott Federer and Dan Morgan and they took a more collaborative approach than they've been taking. Not saying that they haven't been collaborative, but I think more, on everybody to make these decisions and not make decisions that seem emotional on the outset and looking at financial implications. Like Denzel Perryman, he had 2 years on his contract, and you trade him away and now you're looking for a linebacker. And Denzel Perryman ended up being a Pro Bowler. So, I think that it would benefit them to take a more collaborative approach to this.
And Tony, on my Friday free-for-all, shout out to Sports Nut, always keeping us in the know, in the loop. He linked to an article where it's like, the rumor mill is that Matt Rule dips his fingers into any and every decision that the Panthers make. And it's basically him just throwing his weight around. And that Scott Fitterer really doesn't have too much power as our GM, which, by the way, I maintain, if I'm Scott Fitterer, I don't care how much of an upgrade it is. If I've been working my entire life to be a general manager somewhere, I'm not accepting a job to go play the yes man to a first-year college head coach who's trying to prove himself. So I don't want people to completely absolve Fitterer of this, but apparently multiple people think that Fitterer should have the reins. He should be in charge and in control of what the Panthers are doing. And not only does it not seem that way, but it seems as though Matt Rule and David Tepper take a very heavy-handed approach to the Carolina Panthers and how they want to build this football team. And they rule with an iron fist.
Does the owner meddle? Does Scott Fitterer have enough power? Is Matt Rule running the show? The number is 252-228-5098. We want to hear your thoughts. But there's a lot of news going on throughout the NFL. Hey, guys, it's Super Bowl week. There are coaches all across the league getting hired. There are coaches. Damn, the NFL is getting sued at this moment. And on top of that, in what seemed to be better news for the Carolina Panthers is that the New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton has fish lips, has retired. The man that we all we just hate. We hate this dude because, and look, hate respect. It's respect hate type thing. But fish lips.
He diced us up too much.
A little fish lips. Said, I'm out of here. $70 million over the cap. I thought they were going to hire poor David Culley. We got to figure out what is going on with the New Orleans Saints. Cody Lashney, bring in Bob Rose, our friend, our good buddy. Bob, man.
Hey, Bob
Good to see you,
Rose.
brother.
Bob, what's up?
Gentlemen, it's been too long. Happy belated holidays to you all. I hope everybody's doing well.
How are you, sir? All right. So how about this? We are at that point in the year where we have we're starting to touch the bottom of the pool as fans. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you got to do before you can come up. You got to go touch the bottom of the pool. We're doing that. You know, I mean, the Super Bowl is here. The pressure of the water is on us. We've been watching these other teams, coaches, man. I mean, like, we're trying to find any hopes of this and that. The Saints, Sean Payton retires or whatever, absconds in the middle of the night. That's fine. And don't worry, I don't expect you to be that mad at him. But now a hiring process has emerged in the NFC South. Tom Brady's retired. The Carolina Panthers still suck, but it could have been an opportunity. Eric Bieniemy, a hot name, interviews for 8 fucking hours. And then you guys promote your defensive coordinator, the head coach. Tell us what's going on in New Orleans.
Well, listen, I got to be on it. The Sean Payton stepping aside hurts a lot worse. To me, it hurts a lot worse than when Drew Brees retired. Because with Brees, I kind of saw it coming. In my opinion, it was probably a year too late, for Drew to step aside. Sean still looked energized on the sideline. The man can still coach. He did arguably his best coaching job this year, just keeping that team intact, through all the adversity. So, it feels like it came out of nowhere. But I do give respect to the man. I mean, as a former coach myself, I do understand when it gets a little bit too much emotionally, too much mentally. I think we'll see Sean Payton back in the NFL in some capacity, maybe not as coach, maybe as a general manager. I could see that. But I respect the man for stepping aside. He leaves the Saints with big questions, though. Still tons of talent in that building. I like the process that New Orleans went through in interviewing their candidates. Mickey Loomis, the general manager, had said, we're not going to have second interviews with anybody. We're just going to have elongated first interviews, and then we might do a couple of Zoom calls, with the 1 or 2 candidates that we like the best. Bieniemy's 8 hours, I agree with you, is ridiculous. But they met with Allen, I think, for 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours, right. And they knew that man. They met a while with Aaron Glenn too, and they really liked him. I loved all the candidates that they interviewed, but I think Dennis Allen had to be the favorite from the start, and it was his job to lose if he blew the interview or showed some kind of disinterest, pulled a Josh McDaniels on him or something like that. But I think Dennis is a good coach. He's got a lot of questions to answer, not only at the quarterback position, but Mickey Loomis and company got to work that salary cap magic again. They got to figure out who their quarterback is going to be and fill a couple offensive holes. And a lot of Saints fans are assuming, Dennis Allen, he's a Saints guy. Everything's going to remain the same. No, it is not. That defensive staff is going to remain the same, as it should. This is one of the better units in the league. That offensive coaching staff is going to see a lot of changeover, though. You watch.
So, Bob, I'm going to ask you this question. Why is Home Team your favorite movie of all time, and how many times have you watched it?
I finally got through the movie today. I've tried to watch it like 3 or 4 different times. But when you got a toddler and a puppy, and you're doing work like we all do, guys, it's not easy to get through. If you haven't watched it, it's an amusing movie. If you're a Sean Payton hater, it gave you a lot of ammunition to poke fun at the man. But Sean himself signed off on this, and he himself did a cameo at the end. I'm glad I watched it. I'll probably watch it again, but it's nowhere near my favorite movie. But there were a lot of parts in it that make you lean back and go, "Yep, this is an Adam Sandler movie."
Yeah, it definitely is.
Oh, yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised. It's a family movie. If you have young kids or whatever, it's a good movie to watch. But on a more serious note, the NFC South, I feel like even 2 years ago, people were saying this is the best division in football with all of the talent you have and the quarterbacks you have. I mean, there was Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady one year. And now you're looking at an NFC South that is completely up for grabs. I mean, Tom Brady is out. No more Drew Brees. No more Sean Payton. The Falcons are the Falcons. I don't have to say anything more, right? So it's like now going forward, I'm wondering, you mentioned that offense. What is the offensive identity going to be going forward? And specifically related to the quarterback, do you think there is a chance that you bring Jameis in for another contract? I mean, I know the Saints have a weird cap situation going on right now, but do you maybe roll with Taysom Hill? I know that's not a very popular opinion. Or could the Saints potentially be in line to draft a quarterback this year? What do you think the Saints are going to try and do under center going forward?
Listen, I still believe that Jameis Winston is the favorite, the odds-on favorite to be back in New Orleans and start, next year because of his relationship with Dennis Allen. And we already said that there's going to be a lot of changes to the Saints offense, but Jameis is still the most familiar guy, other than maybe Taysom, with the personnel that's going to be around him: the Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, that offensive line, etc. I think the Saints are going to be knocking on Seattle's door. Hey, what are you really wanting for Russell Wilson? And there might be some probing there. Josh McDaniels, if you believe him, believe that professional liar. He says he likes Derek Carr, and the Derek Carr isn't going to be on the move. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be in play, as I'm sure you guys know, because you're in almost the same situation as us quarterback wise. To me, Jameis is a better quarterback than Garoppolo. He's not a better quarterback than Russell Wilson.
Of course. No,
right.
Water is wet.
You're right. And forget about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron's going to whine and cry and get the attention that he wants, but he ain't going anywhere.
Going to Tennessee, bro. He's buying land in Tennessee right now, dude. And that's where I would go if I was a quarterback.
Do you think the Saints have the means to pull off a trade for Russell Wilson? And do you think he would go?
Answer one question or a second question first. Yeah, I think he would go. Russell likes the New Orleans area. Most importantly, his wife likes the New Orleans, the Gulf Coast area. And I do believe that the Saints have the means. You never saw Sean Payton's Saints trade away many high draft picks unless it was to move way up in the draft. They never did it for a player. But this isn't Sean Payton's Saints anymore. Russell Wilson, whether you believe this or not, if Russell Wilson comes to New Orleans, in the national media's eyes, all of a sudden, boom, the Saints are instant Super Bowl contenders again. Me personally, I still think they have some vital holes to fill, but I think a Russell Wilson trade is possible. It all depends on what realistically Seattle's asking for him. I can't see New Orleans, giving away 3 first-round draft choices and a second plus a third and a player or something ludicrous like that. But if Seattle's asking for maybe 2 first-round picks and a starting caliber player or a day 2 pick this year or next year, that's the kind of deal I could see the Saints making.
So, obviously, a couple of things. I think the big elephant in the room is, number one, are you going to see? I want to ask this, but I want to preface because you were talking about the trade idea. Number one, the trade. I mean, I guess the cap hell that you guys are in is going to require, it feels like, for you to get rid of players, right? Like to make a trade with another team to get rid of some of these guys. I mean, even with big time free agents like Armstead coming off of the offensive line, like you guys are still in really bad shape with that cap situation. So I want to ask about Kamara, but I want to ask this first, if you don't mind. Do you really feel like there is an opportunity for you guys, or do you think at this point in time it has to be kind of a rebuild mode? because of the cap situation and the fact that do you really have the resources to afford the salary that Russell Wilson's going to have, because it is a substantial one.
Yeah, substantial to say the least, and that's where I think that's why I personally don't think that the Saints are going to get Russell Wilson, because as magical as Mickey Loomis and Kai Hartley are at figuring out this cap thing, Russell Wilson's salary on top of what they already have to deal with inside the building, salary cap wise, I think it's going to be too much for any musician. Any magician at all.
Isn't the cap situation really a kicking the can situation that you guys have been doing for such a long time? Like at some point, it's going to get to a point where that can can't be kicked anymore. And I think that's one of the reasons you start seeing Sean Payton leave. You're seeing, like, I think you're getting to that end, all right, we've mortgaged the future and the future is now here. And we're in a position, like, is there really much more you can do aside from getting rid of the top people on your squad? And that leads me to my next question, which is Alvin Kamara. You probably have a lot more in-depth understanding about what's going on. Seems like a really serious situation, and I've seen players be removed from the league for less. And what are you guys hearing down in New Orleans?
Right now, we're on the edges of our seats. Obviously, the Kamara situation looks really bad. Especially,
can you tell me what happened? Can you tell me what you know about the situation? Because, like, I have read a little bit about it. I saw after the Pro Bowl, some things happened, this and that. Tell us what you know about the Kamara situation first, or tell me, because I'm missing out a lot, or I need to know, because I love this dude.
What I know about the situation is that the night before the Pro Bowl, Kamara and his entourage, his posse, his hanger-oners, whatever you want to call them, a group of 9 or 10 guys that were with him, were in the club. A couple girls were with them. Words were exchanged with this guy, and I forget his name off the top of my head. The guy tried to follow Kamara and his people into the elevator. Alvin put his hand on the guy's chest to stop him. The guy, the accuser, says that all he did, if you were to believe, all he did was slap Kamara's hand away, and then he got jumped. And he got the hell beat out of him. Kamara was involved by his own admission, with kicking and or punching the guy. Went to the hospital, and he reported the injuries. Kamara was taken into questioned. And then taken into custody immediately after the Pro Bowl. He surrendered. He surrendered without incident, of course.
Do you know how many people were arrested other than him?
I don't, and I'd be very interested.
Because then that kind of tells us is like group or individual type thing.
Yeah, I think I was reading an article, and like it was very in depth, the investigation they did. Like they had the video, like it's on video. And that's the thing that's going to be, that's the thing that's going to be the downfall. If there is a downfall, I mean, nobody's seen the video other than the police. I don't think it's been released at this point. If I could be wrong there, Bob, but they've matched, like basically they got to the depth, like they're like we matched the tattoos and Alvin Kamara. Like the reporting right now is saying Alvin Kamara, and I think that Bob's right. There's instigation that probably takes place, but words don't necessarily translate to violence, and that's going to be the problem that Alvin Kamara has with the legal situation. And also Alvin Kamara's recollection has been filled with inconsistencies as well. Like he said, he only threw one. Yeah, he said I threw one punch, and they show him throwing substantially. I wouldn't say substantially more punches.
Is a group thing. I don't know. I'm like not even feeling like this is.
I have a picture of the guy. You want me? You think it's okay?
I mean, they broke his cheekbone.
Yeah, or his orbital bone was broken.
I mean, that happens when you get busted in the face, bro. Like,
it's not that bad. I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, and I agree.
I mean, he got jacked up. I mean, but you know what I'm saying? Like, is like that? I want to hear like. I want actually. I don't know. I've seen. Look, I saw a Saints guy. Who was the guy that says he's blackballed from the whole league?
Junior Gillette, that psychopath.
Yeah, remember Junior Gillette on the beach with the belt? I seen that shit. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you got to do some real shit for me. I saw Jerry. Anyway, all right. Kamara, man, he's been like awesome. Video. Like, he's so great. He's so fantastic. Are you worried about this? Are you really worried about this?
Sure, it's worrisome. If you're a Saints fan or just a fan of Kamara himself, you have to take it as a bit of good news that there was a preliminary hearing scheduled for Tuesday for Monday, yesterday, that they postponed till March 8th. So one would think if it's that serious and that Vegas is looking at a potential felony here, that they would want to get started on something right away, on some kind of indictment. At least that's the way that I look at it. I'm not going to pretend to be a lawyer or anything like that.
You got to be optimistic.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I do take that as a slightly good sign. But the reality is this: even if legal matters are dropped, and the guy just takes some kind of payoff, and there's been speculation that he started with a guy with an NFL star because he saw dollar signs. Again, I'm not there, so I'm not going to accuse one way or another. But even if it's a situation like that, the league office now gets involved. And Goodell and his cronies can suspend Kamara even if Kamara doesn't see a day of jail time. We see that, guys. So I expect some kind of league punishment at the very minimum to come down from this. But if you're asking me, are the Saints going to part ways with Alvin Kamara? Absolutely not.
No, man, we're going to let this play out. All right, let me ask you this. Let's go back to real quick to Brian Flores and what's going on with the NFL. So, Brian Flores wins 8 straight for the Dolphins. Matt Rule loses 8 straight for the Carolina Panthers. Matt Rule keeps his job. Brian Flores is out on the streets. He's even been paid to throw games, supposedly. This and that. Sues the NFL. All of a sudden, Sean Payton, like we talked about, retired, semi-retired, whatever it is, and all of a sudden this comes up. Brian Flores was one of the names that we talked about with Bieniemy, this and that. Your thoughts on that? That's it. Brian Flores for the job, this and that. And this is actually how I wanted to frame it. I was talking to my friend John, police officer too. So cool. Actually, police chief of a department of unnamed person. But he said this. He's from New Orleans. My man said this. He brought up a good point. He said, look, I know that family that owns the Saints, and they're very loyal people. Like they like to hire within. Hire within. And so he said that it was Dennis Allen's job to lose.
Yep.
And I think you mentioned that earlier. So, so if you could just tell us, as you are following this team, what do you think about Flores, all of that in the context? And is he right about or not right? Is that something that maybe we don't think about when we're looking from the outside?
It's something that we don't think about looking in from the outside, especially as white males. Let's just call a spade a spade. Flores is absolutely right in his accusations. As far as the league hiring policies, and a man or woman, and not only the NFL but any profession should be based off of merit and qualifications, not overlooked because of the color of their skin. Their sexual orientation, whatever. We're talking color of skin here.
Sure.
And it is absolutely ridiculous. The number or lack of number of minority coaches not just black, but any minority coaches in the NFL. And I'm not just talking head coaches. There's an astonishing lack of minorities in assistant positions as well. We talked about the lack of minorities in general management positions, and it's absolutely ridiculous. I'm afraid that Flores might very well be, falling on the sword as far as his own career is concerned.
Yeah.
But we do know for a fact that he informed both the Saints and the Texans before he interviewed with them that he was going to sue the league, and this is why. And to both Houston's and New Orleans' credit, they did go through their interviews. And I think Brian Flores is a good coach. He would have made a fine candidate to everybody that New Orleans did. I interviewed. I really liked. I hope that Flores gets back into coaching. I hope that he's not blackballed. I hope he gets one hell of a settlement from this. And most of all, and most importantly, I hope that the league's hiring policies actually change. And it's a shame that we even have to have this conversation, because in a perfect world, it would never be even a conversation to be had. Oh, yeah, I picked this candidate over this candidate because I thought they were better, not because of the color of their skin.
I guess my last point about that is, do you think that for some of the people around the league that are looking at this and trying to find the racial connotations or whatever, which I think totally exists, but is there anything to that idea that Dennis Allen, that the New Orleans organization kind of wanted to appoint from within from the beginning? Like, is that their style? Is that their style, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah. And Mickey Loomis, the general manager, made it a point of that right out of the gate of the process, that we do like to hire within. We love the culture that Sean Payton and the rest of us helped build here, and we don't see any reason to change it.
Is he a patsy? Is he a patsy, though? Is
No.
Dennis Allen a patsy? No quarterback, no money, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like we call this poor David Culley. Me and my buddies, we call this is that poor David Culley got the Texans with no Deshaun Watson, went out there and did better than anyone expected, got fired. Why don't you? They said this is my friend, and I got to give somebody else credit for this. Stephen Igo sent my buddy this text. He said, "Oh man, I heard Sean Payton quit with $70 million over the cap, and no this and that." He said, "I bet you David Culley gets this job." Right? It's like, I mean, he's a patsy. Like, is Dennis Allen a patsy?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
There are several contracts on the Saints that can be restructured. And you look at the talent, and I realize that's still kicking the can down the road. But hey, until you're kicking that can up against a brick wall and you have absolutely positively no more room to maneuver, then why wouldn't you continue to do that? And that's where the Saints are at. All these big, what they're doing, and you're actually starting to see other teams begin to do it too. They're signing these younger stars, the Ramcheks, the Lattimores, the Mike Thomases, the Camaras, to big contracts, and then the very next year restructuring them, adding voidable years, BS like that. And I say it's BS because it is. They are voidable years because they're imaginary contract years. The players are still going to get their money. So be more worried about Saints ownership than you would be about the salary cap. Because Loomis and Harley are going to figure out ways around that. You're going to see a couple players cut, but nobody of really any huge significance. Probably the biggest name I see leaving New Orleans this offseason is going to be Malcolm Jenkins, as far as guys under contract. Everybody else has room on their deals to restructure, switch it into a signing bonus, which really doesn't affect your cap a whole lot, just comes straight out of the owner's pocket. When you think about it, it's a genius way to operate, but it's something that's going to put your franchise itself into a whole lot of financial hardship at some point. I don't see that point being yet.
Interesting. Bob, got one question for you, man. Okay, so you guys, we've established you're kind of looking for an identity with your franchise moving forward. It sounds to me like you're talking about Winston might be the quarterback in the future. Y'all are drafting 18th, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody that, well, one, I want to know, who do you like wish would fall to you, and who realistically do you think you guys are kind of looking for? Is there any prospects out there, guys, you think you guys need to either? Well, I don't want to say move up for because we're thinking about 18th. Is there any guys you think that the Saints need to draft? You're the GM. Who are you picking?
You're talking quarterback?
I'm
Anybody.
talking any position for whoever you think is the best move for the Saints right now.
Wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. Did I mention wide receiver?
Okay.
Obviously, if the Saints don't get their quarterback in free agency, either signing a free agent, re-signing a guy like Winston, trading for a guy like Wilson, they're not going to go into the 2022 with Taysom Hill. So if they don't get their man in free agency or via trade before the draft, then you're going to see the Saints draft the first-round quarterback because you have zero option at that point.
Right.
But if I'm right, and if it's a Winston or another guy that falls to him, a Garoppolo or a guy they feel comfortable with, then if you're the Saints, you have to go wide receiver. After the abysmal performance of that unit this past year, I realize that Michael Thomas being out, is going to hurt any team. But Thomas missing the season absolutely crippled this team. And that's I don't criticize Sean Payton for much, but I was highly critical of him all season for ignoring the wide receiver spot the last 4 or 5 years. You no longer had a Drew Brees in his prime. So therefore, you no longer had a quarterback that could make an average guy good, a good guy great, and a great guy elite. So you need those guys to operate on their own merits. Thomas can do that. Marquez Callaway, Deontay Harris, they're good receivers, but they're not number 2 guys. You need to get a number 2 guy. My favorite receiver in the draft coming in is Chris Olave out of Ohio State. But Garrett Wilson, the other Buckeye, Treylon Burks from Arkansas, Drake from USC, even David Bell from Purdue is a late first-round guy. All those guys would be great additions to the Saints. Okay. I wouldn't overlook the need of defensive tackle or safety if they cannot re-sign or franchise tag Marcus Williams. But if I'm the general manager and Dennis Allen, I intend on getting my quarterback through free agency, even if I have to trade for him. And then I'm gunning for a wide receiver in the first round of the draft.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you guys Michael Thomas was the only guy you guys have drafted in the last 4 years, right? He's like, well, no, you had one 7th rounder, I think. But you guys haven't drafted
they drafted Kayvon Baker in the 7th round. They also drafted Traquan Smith. If you like that pile of in 2018.
Okay. So yeah, wide receiver. Okay. You're
muted, Tony.
Did you say franchise tag for Armstead?
No, I think Teron Armstead is going to walk. I think that's an area where the Saints believe that they have in-house candidates to fill the position, or could draft a day 2 guy. If they're going to use a franchise tag, it's going to be on Marcus Williams, free safety.
Can I ask you one more question before?
I got one more that I want to get into when you're done.
Yeah. I think one thing, and again, not trying to say that you guys are going to have it's not going to happen, right? Because you guys have created a cap miracle over the past, really 4 years. When every year it feels like there was nothing you guys can do, you found a way to get under the cap and move on. But I think there was a different scenario. You had Sean Payton, you had Drew Brees. I feel like when you have that, you have guys that are going to be willing to maneuver things. They're going to be willing to change and restructure. And I know restructure doesn't always mean a pay cut, but it also can mean, a potential loss of income later on, right? I think when you have a contender, then that happens. Jameis Winston, I don't think is going to be somebody who is going to make people feel like, you know what, I'm going to stick with the Saints because of this. Do you have a fear that not having a Sean Payton or a Drew Brees or really a franchise quarterback, at least as of now, is going to limit your ability to actually do those miracle cap maneuverings? Or do you really believe that there's limited, there's going to be, are we all going to be in awe again of the cap miracle that is the Saints?
I lean towards making the rest of the league a little bit in awe, because you mentioned Breeze and his willingness to restructure, and that's been key over the years. But they still have those guys. They still have Cam Jordan, Demario Davis. Marshawn has Lattimore has restructured a couple of times. Onyemata, Ramczyk are now in positions to restructure. They still have that unselfish core of leadership in the locker room. Now, getting a quarterback that the team feels that they can win with long term is going to be key. Because like you said, if you're a player and you have a big contract that you keep saying, okay, I'll restructure. It's probably because your eye is on winning, right?
Right.
So now, if your team ignores the quarterback position, or brings in a guy that you don't believe in, you're probably not going to feel like that this team is set up to win in the long term. And if you're a Cam Jordan who's going to be 32 years old, the end of your career is closer than the beginning. You might not be willing to restructure so fast now. So that's why I agree with you. I think quarterback and making a move at quarterback early and decisively is going to set the tone for this entire offseason, because then is when you're going to see the rest of the dominoes fall into place.
Look at that.
I agree.
So, Bob, my final question for you tonight is, why is Eli Apple such a disrespectful shithead?
Oh, yeah. Tell us all about this.
Yeah, man, dude.
I need to know all about this.
He had bars for fans of the New York Giants. He said that the Giants fans and the Saints fans are the worst fans in the NFL, and eating all that crawfish is destroying their brains. And
on top of that, somebody else, one of the Saints players came at him.
It was Chauncey Johnson. Imagine that. Eli Apple, I'm disappointed.
Tell us about this. I want to know what is this? Give us the story.
All right. First of all, Eli's mother, Annie, has run his career.
She's very spoken on the internet. We know that.
To say the least. And there was actually some speculation that Annie was running Eli's account, and Eli actually didn't say those things.
Smart. Oh my God. See, this is why I asked. All right, come on, give us some juice.
I'm not saying that I believe that's the case, except I'm saying I believe the case.
Could be.
I'm disappointed because while the entire Saints fan base turned on Eli Apple when he was still here, I was one of his last supporters in the media because I thought he played relatively well until he completely lost his confidence. My issue is, if I'm a Bengals teammate of his, and in that locker room right now, and you guys had Eli in Carolina for a little bit, so you've been
literally nothing.
He never played. He got cut before he played.
Before the damage, right? If I'm a Bengals teammate, I'm pissed at Eli because I'm like, hey, guys, dude, we're supposed to be concentrating on a game. We're in a place that this franchise, the Bengals, have not been in any of their lifetimes. And you're spouting off about teams that you already played for. That shows you where Eli.
Why is he upset? What's he upset about?
I have no idea, because you're cutting off your nose to spite your face, because Eli is scheduled to be a free agent again at the end of this year. And not that anybody expected him back in New York or back in New Orleans,
right? But you want to make him an attractive. You want to be more attractive than
right,
not.
Right? Well, exactly.
You don't want a guy who's just talking shit about your organization every time he leaves. Like, it's every single organization that he's been a part of that he's talking about.
Right, exactly. It'd be different if he was just headhunting on New Orleans or just headhunting on New York. Because he had an awful time in New York. He blasted them on the way out. On the way out of the Giants.
Yeah, do you remember? All right, so my boy Nick Filata told us that one of the other players, what did he call him? Like, he called him basically like a biatch. Like, he called him a bitch. Like, straight up in the and he was like, this dude is like his own teammate. I think it was the guy that who did Rivera sign? He was a strong safety. He plays for the Washington football team. He came from.
Was it Landon? Was it Landon Collins?
Yes, Landon Collins. Yeah, I think it was Landon Collins. They just called him a bitch. like in a radio interview, he said Eli Apple's a bitch, like basically, and that was like it was like uh-oh.
And Eli Apple's troubles go all the way back to Ohio State. I mean, he was teammates with a lot of those Saints. Michael Thomas, Lattimore, Von Bell.
Yeah.
One of the stories is that that Thomas was beating Apple so badly every day in practice, multiple times. That Apple just lost it, and the coaches had to bench Eli or put him on somebody else intentionally in practice because they were afraid that his confidence was going to get destroyed. That's how fragile this guy is. And then he goes, like you guys said, then he goes, doing that on the edge of free agency. It's not a smart career move, to say the least.
Definitely
bad
not.
apple. He's a bad apple, is what some people would say. I don't know. All right, man, Bob, I thank you so much for you being so generous with your time tonight. You're always a great friend of ours and a great friend of the show, great friend of mine personally. John Williams, when I got these crazy messages, I was like, I said, this don't sound like Sean. And the Facebook message back came and said, it is Sean. And I was like, I swear, this morning I was sitting on the pooper and I was like, who is the Saints? My response to them was, who is the Saints head coach right now? Their current head coach. And then it just put blocked. And I was like, hacked. Oh, yeah. All right. So tell Sean, man, I said hello and thanks for giving us your time tonight. Tell them how they can find your work, man.
Guys, thank you so much for having me on. I know we're going to get together a few times this offseason. We always do around the draft.
Yes. Yeah, no kidding.
It's always an honor and privilege to be on with you. If you want to follow my work, you can do so over on Facebook. Just look for Bob Rose, and this ugly mug is my profile pic. I'm over on Twitter at BobbyR2613. And all of my work, which unfortunately, guys, is all centered around the New Orleans Saints. But I do all my work through the Saints News Network, at Saints News on Twitter. And we do all the publications for the SI.com, SportsIllustrated.com team channel for the New Orleans Saints.
My man,
awesome.
Man. Thanks for coming on tonight, man. Bob Rose, folks, check him out.
Hey, Bob.
Man, I'm telling you, Bob's been coming on the show for like 10 years now.
Yep.
Well, actually, maybe not 10 years, maybe like 8 years. We're close to 10 years, guys. Starting
do something major for that.
13.
Oh yeah. You know what? That means it's a time for celebration. It's a time where Panthers, freaks, and weirdos come from all across the globe to gather in the C3 chat room so they can come and get shamed like the nasty SOBs they are. CK, why don't you talk to them?
Oh, hello there. You've shown up tonight. You said, we're watching two teams that aren't the Carolina Panthers playing the Super Bowl, and I'm still going to tune in to a podcast about the Carolina Panthers? You sat there and listened to a lot of talk about the New Orleans Saints. Not a single time did we talk about the Carolina Panthers. You're still here, but you haven't hit the like button yet? I don't know what you're doing with your lives. I have one thing to say to all of you. Subscriber shame.
Subscriber shame. 112 people watching, 64 thumbs up. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe. Hit that notification bell for every single time we go live. You know we're going to be bringing you draft content, free agent content, Friday free-for-alls every Friday at 7 p.m. that you can join yourself. And on Tuesday nights like tonight, where you can come and hang with the boys and talk about your favorite football team. Tony Dunn, what do we have on the docket?
I think it's time to get into some cat calls. You can be a part of the C3 Panthers podcast by dialing in at 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Think about this. Today's date is 2/8/2022. I felt like we can make that phone number out of that. That is 252-228-5098. Let's get into the cat calls. We want to hear what you're thinking about when it comes to the Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Saints, the NFL, all of this, let us know.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Too loud? Sounds a little loud. No?
No.
It's good?
No.
Hey, good afternoon, boys. Baby Rhino here in Jamestown, North Carolina.
Baby
Give you
Rhino.
guys a call. First, everybody hit that like button. Show these guys appreciation for what they do every week, in and out.
Thank you. Thank you, bro.
Appreciate it, Rhino.
Thoughts on all this news coming out about Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett. I don't know which way we go. Do we go offensive line in the free agency, or we do it in the draft, and then vice versa? Go get a quarterback in the free agency or in draft OL? I don't know. I just wanted you guys' thoughts on that. Keep it up, guys. Keep pounding.
This is your call, Cody. Your call.
Yeah,
You
it
like
is.
the Senior Bowl?
Yeah,
Tell us about Malik Willis. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So listen, be on the lookout for drafttech.com tomorrow because, spoiler alert, I have us taking Malik Willis with the 6th pick in the draft
That
on
early?
DraftTech. I do. And you know why? I mean, Tony, listen, pat your own self on the back. You were the one saying that there is no way that Matt Rule could just take a normal offensive lineman or, a linebacker or whatever, that Matt Rule frankly needs a player that could potentially help save his job. And by far, the quarterback in this draft with the highest ceiling and the most physical tools that translate to an elite NFL quarterback, that would be Malik Willis, the quarterback out of Liberty. This guy has it all, Tony. He has an incredible arm. I believe they clocked him throwing a 78-mile-an-hour football. The dude he has an absolute bazooka attached to his shoulder. He's built like a running back. He will be absolutely lethal.
Well, Matt Rule stays too short.
In those RPO run pass option kind of scenarios. I really do think Malik Willis is a tremendous talent, and he's a chess player. So he's a nerd at heart. He loves learning. He loves strategizing, seeing the football field. People are going to knock him from the amount of talent that he had around him, and that he didn't have a lot of NFL players around him. So he kind of played superhero ball a lot more than he should have. But I think if you give him some time to learn and ingratiate himself to the NFL schedule, I think we could have a really good quarterback on our hands.
His stock is certainly climbing.
For sure.
While Kenny Pickett's was not. It's falling after this Pro Bowl, at least in the first couple of practices. But just to go back to Malik Willis momentarily, interestingly, Matt Rule is so about the measurables. He's a little short, but this guy's got the intangibles, it seems like. Right?
6'1". So
yeah,
he's not tall.
He's undersized for a quarterback. He would, if you're gonna say, hey, Brady Christensen can't play left tackle because his arms are a half inch too short, then being 3 inches too short at quarterback is not an uptick here. But I got to tell you this is that Malik Willis slating interviews for me. His personality, his charisma, asking questions back to I'm telling you, this guy is ready for the spotlight.
He is.
He's ready for the spotlight.
There was even reports, forget what you heard at the Senior Bowl. There were reports, who knows if they were verifiable or not, that the Panthers were enamored with Kenny Pickett throughout the entire process. So again, we might want to go ahead and call this now. We might all end up potentially getting our hopes up for a guy like Malik Willis, just for them to potentially take Kenny Pickett. And by the way, I don't hate Kenny Pickett as a quarterback either. I would prefer him more than I would have Mac Jones last year. for his
Blaine Gabbert.
ability to
He's
make
Blaine
throws on
Gabbert,
the
bro.
run.
He is
But
Blaine Gabbert.
I do think Malik Willis is somebody that could certainly be an option for the Panthers at 6, especially considering most of the quarterback conversation starts with the Carolina Panthers. Those
The
are the
number's
teams that are in need of one.
The number is 252-228-5098. Next call. I think. Come on. Play.
What's good, T3?
What's good?
Anthony here.
What's up,
Hey,
Anthony?
I called in like once or twice. But,
Good name.
After looking at, like, watching Joe Burrow, really just wants me to want the Panthers to draft, Malik Willis or someone, or Kenny Pitt, or just something new. I just feel like if we have Sam Darnold for this next season, it's just going to be a fucking tank season. And nobody's going to want to watch that shit. Because maybe the O-line is closer than we think. So I think it's better to spend our first pick on maybe a franchise-type talent to help us, maybe actually win some games. And I know the defense was not number 2 by any means. I went to all 8 home games. I mean, Washington made us look like, or embarrass our defense. And there's been like countless other games. Tom Brady spat on us for 41 the last week of the season. I know it's the last week, but that's just an example. So, like, yeah, we need a quarterback. But I appreciate what y'all are doing. Keep pounding Panther Nation. Hopefully we'll have something to look forward to soon.
So you're right, is that it is difficult when these home spankings are occurring. CK, Nick. Oh, by the way, I was going to put in the sound is Nick Monteiro, long time listener. Montero, is that how you say it?
He let me say it wrong forever, and I'm like, why? I hate it when people mispronounce my last name.
Montero. He says that? He told you that?
Yeah, he says
about
it's Nick
me?
Montero.
Montero. I'm not calling Mick Montero. I don't care. No, Mick. I'm calling Mick
He doesn't
Montero.
either, by the way.
Nick Montero. But it's gonna come from Boston down here, right? From Massachusetts. These kids, Josh from Mass, they make this trek. CK, he's messaging me about going to this game next year. Game next year. Think about this. This man went to 8 home games. How do we pick it right now? As fans, and not the game, but like, how do we get motivated? He's coming from fucking Massachusetts, bro. I'm just trying to come from Greenville. What do we do? How do we get amped for next year?
I mean,
go to a game.
Here's the thing, and I don't know why. I have no reason to. Like, at the end of this past season, I had zero hope. And I have literally no logical reason to tell you this, but I have hope again for some fucking reason.
Oh, man, we're
for
back.
Some reason.
We're back.
For some reason, I'm sitting here thinking, like, maybe it's the Bengals. Maybe seeing the Bengals do what they've done has allowed
anything's
for
possible.
Yes, it kind of given a sense of like, you know what, maybe it isn't something that I, am going to look at and say, is it going to happen? Probably not. Let's be real, right? But I have optimism, and I think right now I want to go to some games until I have nothing to
let's give them our money. Honey.
Yeah, that's my thought.
That's going to a game next year. Then I haven't been to a game since 2019. I think that 2 seasons, longest I've been in 18 years.
Oh, I think what CK was describing is what we call fandom, because there's always that hope there. I know I've been talking shit all year, and I realistically don't think that we have a shot in hell at anything. But I think back at things like you said, the Bengals, and even like 2015. Say what you want about Kelvin Benjamin, but his rookie year was better than Julio Jones' rookie year. So going into that, I was hopeful. He went down, and I had no hope at all. And you saw what happened. So we're definitely not the pieces like 2015. I'm just
anything.
saying,
this
I
is
see
a
what you're saying,
gambler's.
CK. I feel that too.
It's
I
like
wonder how
that.
many hot takes there were back in 2014 or 15, whenever it was we drafted Benjamin. I wonder how many bad takes there were of people were like, "Oh, Kelvin Benjamin is the next."
Oh, a
Julio
bazillion.
Jones,
All right, how about
forget
this?
it."
I'll give you one. I'll give you one. I think that was the first year we did the draft party. I think that was the first year we did the live draft party. And I have been right, I'm trying to get a website going. I was like over trying to do all this. And I didn't know anything. I didn't scout. Like I was trying to study and learn these players, but I found this kid that I loved. I fell in love with this draft pick. His name was Allen Robinson. I fell in love, and I wrote about him. I was like this and that, and the Panthers picked Kelvin Benjamin, and then Allen Robinson goes like a round later, and I was like, I was so pissed when we picked Kelvin Benjamin that people were making fun of me. What was his name? What was his name? He used to do a lot of YouTube shit. He still does, I think. But he was all on my ass. He was like, "Oh, Kelvin Benjamin got 1,000 yards. Kelvin Benjamin got that." He was all on my ass for like a year after that.
Just one. Yeah.
I know. And I was
Just
still,
one.
I was all about that Allen Robinson joint. I was so pissed. Go back and watch every draft show, folks. I don't know if I've ever been happy about a draft pick. That's crazy. I know.
Yeah, now that I think about it, not in the first round.
Yeah,
Not
I
in the
gotta
first
cheer
round.
up.
though.
I gotta tear up about it. Like last year with JC Horn, I was like, oh, I wanted, you know what I'm saying?
Last
Like,
year was
there
probably
ever
the
been
closest.
a year where I've just been like, oh, that I think Christian McCaffrey is the closest that some people thought that they knew it was going to be Christian McCaffrey and wanted to be Christian McCaffrey. But other than that, no one, and since we have had a draft pick since Cam, has been like, fuck yeah. Star Lotulele, maybe. Like, oh yeah, flu, got you. All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey guys, it's Joey.
What's up, Joey?
And like, so there seems to be coaching. People are just jumping ship, going other places to coach. And honestly, I don't blame them, because do you really want to? If you're an underling in the NFL and you're trying to get a leg up and you're trying to advance up the corporate or the corporate ladder, as it were, would you really want Matt Rule to be your boss? I would want Matt Rule to be my boss, and I ain't no football coach, because he's disingenuous. I mean, we the fans are picking up on his disingenuousness. Even we are finding this out. So if we know and we believe that he's disingenuous based on what he puts out to the public, then imagine what the coaches that are leaving know, and imagine the type of bullshit that he spewed to them. And they think there were writings on the wall for Matt Rule, and they don't want to be caught up in that, and they're smart. I like the Paul Pasqualoni hire. I don't know who the hell this dude is, but I'm half Italian, so I can make all the mafia jokes I want.
Nice.
Like what is it with us liking to hire mafia names? We first had Kristen Balboni as a sideline reporter. Now we have Paul Pasqualoni.
And don't forget Dave Gettleman, the original
gangster.
gangster.
With a name like Pasqualoni, never know. Anyway, guys. Wow.
Nice, Joey. And hey, Greg, I'm gonna let you take this one. Before you do, David, I have not actually read it yet. That is 100% on me. I said I would. We'll do it now. Dave Screws with the $2 says, "Do you think Rule is in this all for the money?" And that kind of, that's actually kind of perfect timing. I feel like that kind of even ties into Joey's call a little bit. But thanks, David, for the $2. And Greg, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Joey's point here is the very similar to a point with players. We have a slightly more of an advantage with coaches here than we do with players. With players, we're a very small market, So the money means a lot more. They want endorsements. They want stuff like that. You're not going to get that here in Carolina. Whereas coaches, you don't have to worry about that as much. But yeah, I do think that's exactly what the coaches are doing is they're leaving a team, or they're leaving bailing out on a team that they have no future with. If they don't feel like they can progress themselves with. If you're strung to a team or tied to a team that is consistently losing and you're part of that team, your name's on that, you're stamped on that, that's going to follow you your whole career. You don't want to be a part of that. And yeah, I think they're seeing the writing on the wall. We've been saying it all year about Matt Rule, at least I have, and the hill's gotten really, really full. Like, nobody wants to play for him. He's lost the locker room. He's lost the team. And that's why coaches are leaving. I agree.
Yeah, and then Dave asked, "Is Matt Rule in this for money?" And I mean, I kind of think that he's just in this for an ego thing right now to prove to everyone in the NFL how much he knows, how good of a head coach he is, and frankly, if we're being honest about money, he probably could have gotten more money. And it was reported that he actually said this to the team. Who knows if that is or isn't true? But he probably could have gotten more money going back to college and being a head coach somewhere. It would have been interesting if Harbaugh actually left to see what he would have done, you know?
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next call.
What's up, C3?
Oh, yes!
Noah!
For a little bit, fighting off COVID, but I mean, I don't know which way we go. Did we go for the quarterback or offensive line? I don't know. I don't think we should go for quarterback. I think we should go for a strong offensive line player, and we work our best with getting some probably some later picks maybe. But honestly, I don't know which way we go. Hopefully we pick the right path. We didn't really pick the right path last year, but hopefully we pick this year a good path, and we play our best game coming up this in a couple of months. Months. And yeah, keep pounding, C3. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding, Noah. And hey, man, get over COVID, dude. You sound like a warrior. We already know you are, man. Get better, get healthy. And yeah, no one blames you for taking some time off. Everybody needs to sometimes get away from the things that we love to grow even fonder of it, you know? And yeah, there's a lot of things that we could potentially do going forward. I think if you were to ask most Panther fans, they would say either of two things: go offensive line or take a quarterback if you feel like you have the player there that you like. But perhaps more popular than both of those is many people want us to trade down like Scott Fitterer showed a propensity to do last year, and trade down, acquire more picks, and potentially build your team with more and more players. That, in my opinion, is a possibility for the Carolina Panthers. But I also remember when Fitterer talked about he views the first round talents from pick 1 to 16. And specifically, if you're picking on in the top 10, you're talking about drafting a potential game changer for the Carolina Panthers. So it's a real mystery right now as to what we're going to do. We're going to have to wait until free agency plays out before we know for sure.
The number is 252-228-5098. Let's go to the next call.
Hey, what's good, fellas? It's Corey calling in.
Corey,
I'm listening to this past Tuesday show, and I wanted to give a quick little take on the Pro Bowl. I know I'm usually like a week late with calling in on the topic, but I'll be listening to the podcast on my way to work and going to work. So it takes like a full week to listen to a whole episode. But anyway, as far as the Pro Bowl goes, man, it really don't. Honestly, the Pro Bowl, it be getting people like heated and up in arms every single year, man. But honestly, it really doesn't deserve our attention like that, man. Like, players care about the Pro Bowl, and like you guys mentioned, to get bonuses on their contract. But like, even in the aspect of like looking at a player's whole career, like looking at their Pro Bowls isn't gonna take them over the top. Like, you're not gonna have a Friends Hall of Famer and say, oh shit, well, he made 7 Pro Bowls, he's going to get in. It's like all pro teams are a little bit more. They're a lot more indicative of who's actually the best player, right? And it's like you got guys like Stephon Gilmore. It's like, okay, he didn't deserve to make a Pro Bowl, but he was just named or he was just announced, right? And that was like weeks after they announced Brian Burns. Whenever you got guys announced and they go to the Pro Bowl weeks and weeks later, it's because they were like a third or fourth, fifth alternate. Like all these guys opted not to go. Like Tom Brady made all these Pro Bowls. I haven't seen Tom Brady play in a Pro Bowl since I was like 8 years old, right? He never goes to them. It's like, once you're after, unless you're like a young guy trying to like prove your name and your national I guess reckonability. I don't know what the fuck I just tried to say there, but it's really not that big of a deal, man. But I'm having the second part of my call. I wanted to talk about something else too.
You're muted.
You're muted, Tony. Say something.
Wow. Your reaction was heated, bro.
Yeah. Well,
I was waiting for you to talk.
All right. Well, let's go to part 2 of the call then.
Hey, what's up, man? Corey calling in again. I wanted to give a take as draft talk starts to heat up, man, and I'm seeing more and more people mock it. I don't want Kenny Pickett, bro. I don't want no parts of little baby hands Kenny. I don't want him, man. It's not even just because of the hands. I don't want him with the number 6 pick. I don't even want him if we trade back and draft him in the second round. Like I don't want him to be the future quarterback of the Panthers. I don't see it, man. I don't like quarterbacks. I don't like 1-year wonder quarterbacks, man. Like those guys who come in and they've been in the same system.
I think he's right, man. I'm starting to agree with him.
And then they have this breakout year the last year before they hop in the draft.
I'm starting to agree with him.
Then,
it's not even a breakout year.
Like, I don't really know, man. The success rate for those doesn't really pan out. It's like Joe Burrow. He was a breakout year, but he was coming from a bigger program, not a bigger program, but I would say he wasn't getting the burn he deserved, and he got better.
Ken Dorsey, bro.
He was a 1-year wonder. Obviously, he was coming from junior college, so he couldn't show his talent on a national stage like that. I'm talking about guys like Kenny Pickett. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, man, but like, didn't his last 2 years as a starter, he threw 13 touchdowns? Like the 2 years previous, like he threw 42 touchdowns a year. He got great stats. But I'm looking at him, he had like 13 touchdowns and 9 picks the 2 years prior. And it's like, you played at Pittsburgh then, you were in the ACC. What the hell's going on? Like, I don't want you now because you had this big breakout year. It's like, I'm not a huge college football guy, but like, let me know, was the talk bubbling with Kenny Pickett before when he was a sophomore or junior? Were they saying, was he an NFL quarterback then? He just had to put stuff together? Or is it just like a 1-year, like wonder thing where he showed off all of his talent? I don't know, man, but I'm just not really seeing it. Like, honestly, I don't want this. I don't think he's a franchise guy. Like if we draft him in the 5th round, maybe cool.
I'm gonna stop the call there just to go on to, or actually for that part. I think who was it? There was a Bill Polian came out. I think it was Bill Polian that said there wasn't a starting quarterback in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, people are down on this draft, and I don't necessarily think that's true. Look, like I said, my personal evaluation is I feel that Pickett is a better quarterback than basically what he's given credit for. I mean, he threw 42 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. To me, he's a well-rounded quarterback. I don't necessarily think that he has the highest ceiling, but he has that escapability. He has the ability to make plays on the run, make throws from outside the pocket, and he does have a little bit of that bravado to his game. He's not afraid to put his shoulder down and get dirty and get aggressive. Now, he's not going to knock your hair back with any of his throws. He's not a tight window thrower necessarily, but he does have some zip on the football. I don't know. It's such a weird thing, man. I try and give you guys some of my draft bits of wisdom here and there. And I always say that I never judge a previous draft class compared to another one.
Right.
Because once upon a time, Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes were coming through the same draft, and none of the NFL talent evaluators were very high on either of them. then you can go look up the plethora of hot takes from guys all around draft media talking about Josh Allen and Justin Herbert would never be franchise quarterbacks. So you're really having to do a deeper evaluation of, are these guys going to be able to acclimate their style of play to the NFL?
Right.
Some guys can do it, and they put a lot of work into it. Josh Allen is the perfect example of one of those types of players. And I think that these two dudes could potentially be that as well. It's just hard to know, man. Based off their physical talent, they have all the traits, but they just haven't been in the scenarios to really show off everything that they're capable of. So it's still a bit of a mystery right now.
Dude, I don't like Kenny Pickett. And I know that I've just been doing a little bit of, viewing of these highlights, some of these players. And I mentioned in the chat with us the other day, he dances too much. His feet are moving too much for me. It's weird. And do we really want a quarterback with pick in his name?
Yeah, he's daring you to pick it.
Sounds
I dare
weird,
you to
right?
pick it.
I mean, come on.
Have some bravado. No, I feel like he is the same. I feel like he is a white Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater had good college stats. Teddy Bridgewater had some good ass college stats. He was airing the ball out a lot, bro. You know what I'm saying? He was putting numbers up. He's white Teddy. No, like nothing fantastic about his physical ability, and gets it done the other ways. Here's what's interesting to me is this. In 2011, the Carolina Panthers were picking number one. We had our opportunity to pick a quarterback. We picked the best, arguably the best Panther in history, Cam Newton. Listen, this is I never even went back and looked at this, but some people said like Blaine Gabbert's the guy to pick. Blaine Gabbert's the guy to pick.
Yep.
Charlie Casarelli. I don't like to pronounce his name correctly on purpose. Was one of these guys. He used to be a fucking GM. Crazy. This is, listen to these numbers. What were Pickett's numbers last year?
42 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
How many?
42 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
In his junior year, which is final year, came out a year early. Blaine Gabbert had a whopping 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
That's not even remotely.
I know. Isn't that crazy? Like, to think about that is like this guy was, they were trying to tell us this dude was better than Cam Newton.
That's insane to me, man.
Now, in 2009, he had 24 touchdowns, but that's still not even in the realm of what Kenny Pickett just did.
No, not even.
He had 40 career touchdowns.
Look up Bridgewater.
All right,
Look up Teddy.
I got you.
Look,
Teddy
I'm with
killed
the caller
it, bro.
on this.
Teddy had a great senior year.
I'm with the caller, though. I just can't. When I look at him, I don't see it. I don't hate the guy. I just don't see it.
Listen. Oh God, you're gonna be so mad.
I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah, 2013 as a junior, Teddy Bridgewater had a 71% completion rate. Think about that. 71% completion rate, 31 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. That's badass, bro.
Dude, that sounds like the most
That's
Teddy
a good
Bridgewater
fucking
stat
year.
line of all time, though. Like, it's
what?
not a ton. That's not a ton of touchdowns.
I mean, it's
31. Oh my
good.
God! For college, look, I just told you Blaine Gabbert had 16. He was going to be the number one.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater
It's not
got
hard to be
shunned.
better than Blaine. I guess my standards are just like
Oh my
high,
God.
man.
All right.
That's okay.
No, okay. Like, come on.
The more
hate.
impressive one is 4 interceptions. That's pretty damn good.
31-4. That's dope. All right, next call.
One more thing. Good quarterbacks don't wear gloves. I'm sorry. Look, call me discriminatory. You know what I'm saying? you can say that I'm
Glovist.
judging
You're
somebody based
Glovist.
on what other
Glovist.
players have done. That's fine. I don't care. I'm
Glovist.
gonna just judge my eyes with this one. Superstar quarterbacks, they don't wear gloves. They players been wearing gloves for about 25 years now, and quarterbacks don't wear them. Why don't they? I don't know. Why the quarterbacks that do wear gloves wear them? I don't know. But I tell you one thing: the star quarterbacks that I've been seeing my entire life, ain't none of them motherfuckers wearing gloves. And anybody who is, like the one glove, the two gloves, they just look whack. I don't know. I don't know what it is. There's probably no correlation between how good you are and if you're wearing gloves or not. But I just don't want it. I don't want no parts. I'm sorry.
Didn't Tom Brady wear gloves? I can't remember.
He wears a glove, I think. I don't know. I don't know.
How about this?
Can I tell you what I think is so corny on a
Nah.
quarterback?
You gotta listen to this.
Dude,
Teddy
if you give me some
Bridgewater
Teddy-
was
oh
the
my God,
best
I knew it.
quarterback in his class.
What year?
2013.
Who else came up?
You ready?
Yeah.
Johnny
Quarterback.
Manziel.
Yeah.
Taj Boyd. Oh, Clemson. Oh, Taj Boyd. Marcus
Damn.
Mariota. Braxton Miller. AJ McCarron. David Fales. He failed. Aaron Murray. Come on. Hey, Bridgewater.
Dude,
you sleep
I
on
had
him
so
when
much.
coming
I
out
had
of
so much
college.
hope. I had so much hope for Taj.
Why?
Taj
Why?
was
He
what
sucked.
was it? No, he didn't suck.
Yes, he
He was
did.
before. He was Deshaun Watson before Deshaun Watson.
That was the
guy,
size
that
of
guy
what?
balled out for us.
He was small. All right, next
He's
call.
like 6 foot.
Hello, this is Paul Pasqualoni. You may know my grandson, Kevin, from Charleston. He told me to call the podcast because I've been looking for him. He told me he's going to pick me up Sunday to take me to Country Kitchen Buffet. I really miss my grandson. I don't know where he is. Where am I right now? I have no fucking idea. Am I with the Panthers or am I in Syracuse? Billy! Billy,
Paul
where am I?
Who was it? Who was it? Oh, Paul. Our boy.
That was Kevin, man. That was
What
Kevin.
was he talking about?
That was Kevin is the grandson of Paul Pasqualoni, and he was wondering why his
We
grandson
were talking about his grandpa.
Yeah, that's his grandpa.
One other thing is Nick was the one who put that that prank call on us last week on me. Remember when someone played myself?
Yeah.
And they were
Yeah.
like, did you cat call? And I was like, oh my God, I sound so drunk. I was worried. I was like, man, I've had a few tonight, but I don't feel that lit as the call sound. You know what I'm saying? Nick played a soundbite from me in 2019. Remember when he said, I take over this podcast? It's my podcast?
Yeah. It's
was
my
Nick.
podcast now.
Yeah. That was after that game was Cam's last game as a Panther, really. That Tampa Bay, it was a night game or whatever.
Yeah.
And listening to us, I went back and listened to parts of that podcast. It was very hard on us. God, poor Cam. We were sitting there. I mean, I was like, man, like Cam had the worst game. We were talking mad. I mean, we should have been, but I was like, God, I sounded so wrecked. And I know I can get that way occasionally, but turns out that was not the same week. He was bombing us from he almost, and you know what, Nick, I'm going to say this, is I feel like, isn't there some sort of like health law where you got to keep your health records private? You know, and there's like some health private.
What is doctor confidentiality?
Yeah, we need like a FERPA, some
your...
whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? There's some federal laws about privacy when it comes to our health records. He's out here playing calls of us in our therapy sessions right after one of the most horrific losses in our life. Think about that. I was laying on the couch. I was calling my sponsor that night, talking about how I had never seen Cam be so bad. And man, my sponsor leaked it to the press. Nick, you leaked our confidential information, which was also our public podcast. Just kidding. Next call.
All right, boys, get ready to be educated.
All
right, Kenneth.
For those thinking that Willis is going to go around pick 20 or 15 or something,
top 10.
Let's be real smart here. The guy looked great at the Senior Bowl, but wait till he whips the combine. That's going to shoot his stock up even higher. There's already Lions fans and Nebraska fans and Texans fans screaming to draft him. The Texans, we often don't think about them drafting a quarterback, but what's Lovie Smith going to do now that he's the head coach? We don't know this.
Good point.
We do know the Steelers were massively in love with Willis at the Senior Bowl, but they're 20th. So how would that affect them trading up? Now, let's also chat. Let's hope that the wide receivers coach wasn't sending no pre-draft meetings when they were talking about how much they like Willis, since he's going to be going and coaching the Steelers wide receivers now. So, but either way, if all else fails, we'll have Sam Darnold next year, just for our own personal pleasure. You'll have a great.
Are we a masochist all of a sudden, Kenneth? Like, there's not much pleasure in that, dude. That's more trauma than anything. And yeah, listen, I think that it kind of goes without saying Malik Willis is probably going to be a top 10 pick. But I knew that, though. I knew that once you go through this process,
I think so.
that once they go, especially after they do their pro day and the combine, teams get quarterback hungry, and they all think that if there's a franchise quarterback that they can turn him around. And again, there are some quarterback teams out there this year.
Should he do the combine? Should he just do, if I was him, I'd just do the pro day. That's it. I would do a little scripted this. Why does he need to do the combine?
Because he's not the number one pick. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Trevor Lawrence. If
he's already a top, if he's shined that way, what is him just getting measured? What is that? How is he really going to help his stock that much at the combine?
Well, running the 40, that'll be a big one.
Well, you can do that at your pro day.
Long jump.
You do that at your pro day.
But I think it also just shows a willingness to participate and go out there and wanting to put yourself out there in front of teams. No, I disagree, man, because he's not like this certified.
He's not. If he's already catapulted himself above Pickett, there is nothing he can do but fall.
But also, no, that's not true. I think that there's a lot of evaluators.
If there's no quarterback,
there's still a lot of evaluators that are separating the two. Some have
he already did. He already did.
I don't know. I've been reading Sportsnut posted something where, and you talked about it earlier, that a lot of NFL scouts don't see a true NFL franchise quarterback in this draft alone, including Pickett and Willis, and you just don't know who's saying those things. So if you're Malik Willis and you played at Liberty, you might be able to get yourself up into the top 10, but you're going to need to do everything in your power to continue to show yourself off to talent evaluators. Wow. I think he has to.
But isn't that the goal anyway? Shouldn't he? Don't we want him to have that mindset anyway, doing everything in his talent to show himself off?
I do.
I would. That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
So why is that? Why are we going to hold that?
If he is in the top, all right, Greg
should be doing that.
Greg, if he's already in the top 10, can he really advance to number 1?
No,
it's impossible.
I think best he advances to is probably 5 or 6. To be honest,
you can't advance.
But
You're
they
either
still
the top
guarantee he's
quarterback
a
or you're
top
not.
pick right now.
I don't think
You're the
combine
top
advantages
quarterback or you're not. That's it. Like he's the top quarterback or you're not.
Yeah.
The other teams are going to still look at him as kind of undersized, great arm talent. Like, I mean, there's nothing he can do if he runs a 4. All right, what if he runs a 4-4-4 versus a 4-3? Is it really going to change him that much in his fucking draft stock? No. He's the top. He already beat out Kenny Pickett. He already beat him out this weekend in the Senior Bowl. Done. If I'm him, I would say I'm the best. I'm the best, bro. I'm a run.
You might feel like
I
he
wouldn't
is,
even
but
do
I
my
don't
pro
think that
day.
he's a top
Fuck
10
that.
pick right now. I don't think that after the Senior Bowl and 1 year at Liberty where he had 3 different games where he had 3 interceptions.
1 year for Pickett
one
at
of which
Pittsburgh.
cost
Fuck
him
that.
the game. No, Pickett was there for more than 1 year at Pittsburgh. But Tony, it's not even just about proving you're better than Pickett. It's about getting yourself up into the top 10. Right now, based off of just that Senior Bowl, I don't necessarily believe he's a top 10 pick. I think that as this is going to grow and as time goes on,
Why not?
eventually he's going to work himself up
Why
into
not?
the top 10 because
Why
people
not?
are going to continue to do their
So
personal
you're trying to
evaluations
tell
of
me.
him. They're
You're
going to
trying
have
to
him
tell
in, do
me.
meetings.
Wow. I
I
never
just don't think
disagree
he's
with
the
you
top
so
10
much.
yet, based
If
on
you
the stuff
tell
I'm
me is
hearing.
one exercise on a Saturday afternoon at a pro. I've been to a pro day before. I've been to one at ECU. It ain't nothing special, right? It's just a couple of drills, this and that. You're trying to tell me just one performance there takes him from here to there? No, he either is or isn't. I feel like he's already catapulted himself into that conversation. If you're a team that is willing to wait and wonder if Carolina will pass on him, if Washington will pass on him, then okay, then he ain't that cool. But I'm telling you, I don't think if I'm Malik Willis, I've already proved everything I need to show to everybody that I'm the best one out of these cats. So if you don't like it, then you don't like it.
What's the worst that could happen to him? What, like just have a terrible pro day where he throws a bunch of interceptions?
Well, you
or
get hurt.
Is
You can get
inaccurate?
hurt.
Or
You can
You
get
guys
hurt.
realize you're making the same argument just on opposite sides, right? It really, like, I think both of you agree that him going there is not going to change it either direction. Because
Right.
Cody, what you're saying right now, Cody, is it's not going to hurt him that much, and Tony, you're saying it's not going to move forward that much.
Right.
Same argument. So
Boom.
basically, the conclusion's got to be going to the pro days pointless then, because it won't move you
Don't
forward or
mess it
backward
up.
in
I
either
say
direction.
don't mess. You could mess it up. How about
not
that?
pro day, I'm
Actually,
sorry,
you
combine.
could mess it up. You could throw that gauntlet drill and not look good. You could throw the dent, and then all of a sudden people are like, "Oh my God, he can't throw the deep ball. He can't do this." You know what I'm saying? Like you can do that. Right now, they think he does it all.
I don't think
Don't
it's
give
a
him
fair.
no more.
I don't think this is necessarily a fair comparison, but like, I mean, I do agree that like there is value in not going. Like Joe Burrow didn't go. I mean, well, let me rephrase. Joe Burrow didn't, do any passing,
right,
stuff. But I mean, like, there's, the difference there though is you still have a lot of questions around you. Like Malik Willis still has a lot of question marks.
Tell him, man.
Right.
Tell
So
him.
I mean, there's like, I think the only thing that could happen, in my opinion, is he could, plummet. I mean, right. There's like that.
He has a bad day, bro.
Like he's already right now, he's one of the top 2 quarterbacks. It's between him and Pickett, right? That's the 2 people at the top of the list of quarterbacks in this draft. And let's be real, there's not a lot of quarterback hungry teams in the top 10. It's just not the reality of it. Bro. why like what's the value in doing it? You're not going to be unless
to
Dude,
me,
I'm one
that
man.
is-
Man,
but-
man,
no,
sit
that
there,
is
man.
my-
We are
No, but
fucking
hold
y'all
on, hold
up.
on,
Don't
hold on,
even
no,
get
but
out of here with
that's-
your nonsense.
No, that is my point, CK, is that you're trying. You just said that there's a bunch of questions around Malik Willis and around his game. Tony has this mindset that he's a lot. He's top 10. I'm telling you, based on
He's the top quarterback,
film,
bro.
Yeah, but okay, if I'm Malik Willis, I'm trying to prove that I'm not a late first round quarterback that you take a flyer on. I'm someone who wants to continuously
How do-
impress you and improve my draft stock to make sure that I'm a top 15 pick. I'm saying that after
First of all, how
today,
about
I
this?
don't know
Is
that
what
he is.
after what do you think that makes him not a top 15 pick right now? And I don't want to extend this conversation too far, but you're trying to tell us this is that three or four teams, the Panthers. I can give two off the top of my head. The Panthers and the Washington Commanders are two right off the bat.
That's gonna be
That's
so
by
weird to
11.
get
That's
this
by
year.
11. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're trying and all right. I can name actually the Lions. I can name some teams that want quarterbacks.
That's what I'm saying. You
So,
want to
is that
prove that
though?
you're
Is
worth
this
that to them. He hasn't done that.
But once again, this comes down to the same thing. Is the combine going to prove that, or is the combine going to break
how does
him?
that?
I don't think it
it's
does
like
either.
you either think he could be that already or you don't.
Yeah, I don't
Man,
think it
he
does
just
either.
had a great Senior Bowl. He had all these numbers.
That's not enough.
What is if the only thing he could do is fuck up at the Pro Bowl? Man, not the Pro Bowl, the combine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like, yes. Oh, he
No,
could.
you have
Oh,
to- you have
he
to
could
do
run
the
a
physical
40,
skills.
but he could run a 40 at his pro day. But you could throw the gauntlet and he could be off. There are things that what would you need to see at a combine that would all of a sudden propel him from a 17 to an 8 pick?
But it's
And
the
I
willingness
don't
to-
think,
All right, how
I
about this?
swear
I
to
have
God, I don't think that running, well, he can run his 40 at his pro day. So what could he not do at his pro day at the combine that would really improve his stock?
So you're gonna roll your eyes, but I'm telling you, even simple shit like this matters to NFL scouts. Competing and throwing amongst the other quarterbacks that are there. Listen, look, we live in a day and age where people give a shit if players opted out for their final bowl game or not. Like, oh, did they leave their team high and dry and not
Teams don't
go
really
and-
give a fuck
and-
about that.
and
Nobody
win
in
for
the
their
pros cares
football
about
team?
that.
No, yeah, they do. If you need a perfect scenario, if you need to be at your home stadium wherever you
No.
went to college in order to have the perfect rhythm and make every perfect throw, then to me it kind of lets me maybe kind of get the feeling that you need everything to be perfect for you before you can look good. Whereas
You
if
play,
hold
all right,
on,
so
let
you
me
mean
just
playing
finish this
rock,
thought.
paper,
If
scissors?
I see you at the Senior Bowl and you're impressive, then you go to the combine and you test well and you throw well. That's even more impressive. I move you up the board a little bit more. Then
Why?
we go to your pro day. And I see you do all those same things over and over and over. As a staff, I get a better view of what kind of player you are and how much I can trust you to do these things
You
on
are going
Sundays.
back on your own word, bro.
No, I'm not at all. You're just
Yes,
not
you are.
understanding me.
Your word should be is this: the combine verifies what we see on tape, doesn't establish it. And now you're talking about this is they got to add more to their tape. They're gonna do more and
He
more.
doesn't
And
have a
I'm
ton of
sorry,
tape.
no, screw that.
He
Is
doesn't
that
have a ton
maybe
of tape.
you might as well be playing you know what you said this their competitive drive. We need to learn about their you sound like a guy that makes them want to play rock paper scissors. Remember that guy was like, I want to see how if they really want to win. That's what you sound like right now, bro. Let's go
You're
to the next
talking
call.
about he doesn't have
guys,
a lot of film to
Joey
even
again.
compare from.
Nah,
answer your
you're
question,
going back
I
on
don't
your
think you
word.
ever
No,
get
I'm not. He doesn't
and
have a lot of film. He needs it all.
if your team is A, this shitty, and B, this early in the off season. But I mean, every year, I'm borderline obsessed with the Panthers. Okay, I love football, especially the Panthers. I don't know why I do this to myself, other than to say that I have masochistic tendencies, which sounds like a great name for a metal band or a beer at a brewery. But it takes time. Like free agency. You talk about, like, oh, I like that we signed this player, or oh, this player's trash, this player's bullshit. Then the draft comes, And then it's April, so you've been without football for a while, unless you watch the XFL. And then after the draft, like from the draft to training camp, it's like a dead window. And there's no news, no football. And you're just like, it's like a build-up. You really want football. So by July and by August, you'll be chomping at the bit, even if we go 0-16 or 0-17, even if we were 0-17 last year. That happens to me every year, no matter our record.
Never
No matter
happens.
if we suck or if we're great, I still cannot wait to watch the Carolina Panthers. I'm so happy to go to every game. And unfortunately, in the past couple years, I've been kind of not mad during bye week or when the season's over. Anyway, guys. Wow.
All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey, this is Kevin from Charleston. I have a question. Have y'all seen my grandpa? I was supposed to take him to Country Kitchen Buffet, but I can't find him anywhere.
Country
If
Kitchen
you can get back
Buffet.
to me, I'll greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. it's
Kevin,
a
we got something to tell you, bro. He already called in. You're a back stepson or grandson. Sorry. Yeah.
He's also the defensive line coach for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. Before we go further, shout out to the man, Kevin, for the $5.
Oh, shit.
He says, Rule can't afford a rookie quarterback. Playoffs are fired. I got more words for Super Chat. So Cody, get a haircut. Clowning constantly made Taj Boy cried. Well,
Taj Boy sucked.
No, he doesn't suck. He was a very good quarterback. And my team
Not
has
for the NFL,
championships,
he won't.
Kevin. My team has championships, Kevin. Maybe you should try. My team has more wins in your stadium over the past 5 years than yours does. I gotta put South Carolina fans in their place.
What was the thing we were talking right before? It was old people.
Fleshlights.
What?
That was it.
What
did
CK
you
listening
say?
to?
Are you watching the same show?
Sorry.
What's CK watching?
Oh
man, no. God, I was about to say something good.
Was it though?
Next, last call.
Hey, gentlemen, Daniel here again. Haven't called in like 2 weeks, but
what's up, bro?
Just wanted to give my input as far as this pick of a QB at number 6. You know, but honestly, I just feel like we need to trade back to get some draft capital here. You know, we really have no choice. And is it really worth it to draft a QB that we have no idea, you know, how they're going to do? Honestly, it's just it doesn't make sense to me. You know, I feel like none of these quarterbacks are ready to play their rookie seasons. They need to have at least a year to learn. So is it really worth it to have that at pick 6 and not have another pick until, 105? Yeah, it's just because of all the stupidity we did last year, I just feel like we have no choice to trade back to get some more, you know, picks. Just like to hear what you guys think, you know, on all this. It's just,
all right,
just my opinion. But as always, guys, keep pounding.
Thank you so much for the call. Let's dovetail that back to the comment that Kevin put up. Can you throw that super chat back up? Guys, you can support the show by calling in at 252-228-5098. 5098. Oh, you smash the thumbs up button. You can be a part of the conversation. You can donate to the show. Leave it up. Leave it up. I want to tell them about this. You can super chat. You can hit us up on PayPal. This and that. But all right. So our boy Kevin, and he's our boy. When I say boy, he's like our brother. He's like part of us. He's like,
yep.
Come on in there. Come in there. He says Rule can't afford the rookie quarterback. Right. So like the draft capital, we're talking about this, the expense on Malik Willis. And I've talked about why the one way I think it could happen, and I think it could potentially save Matt Rule's job. But there is a true argument, there's some real truth to this, is that like he's kind of a dead man walking at this point, unless something miraculous happens. The Matt Rule has showed us the kind of go for broke, let's do it right now tendency. What do you guys think about Derek Carr?
I mean, I think it's a safe choice. I wanted to address the idea of none of these quarterbacks are ready for the NFL, or there are too many people that are. I did say fleshlight, Tim. And you know, can I ask you a question? Let's look at the people that were quarterbacks drafted in the past 5 years that are the superstars of this league outside of Joe Burrow that were not considered developmental. Like when they were drafted, these guys are going to be projects. Josh Allen was a project.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson was a project.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes was a project.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
Justin
Aaron
Herbert was
Rodgers.
intended to be
Yeah.
a project.
Right. And some might even say that Mac Jones, who was the best quarterback, at least so far out of last year's draft, was considered a project.
Yeah.
Even though some people consider him the most pro ready because he has the mental, maybe not so much the physical. Like I don't like that mindset, because I look at the people that have been drafted over the past 5 years, and the ones that they told us were developmental and projects are the most successful in this league.
Good point.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you saying that makes you more apt to want to take a swing at Malik Willis, maybe?
Yeah, I want to take a swing at somebody who hasn't been told his entire career that he is the greatest thing on the planet, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that's what we're seeing with these guys. They've come in with a chip on their shoulder. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they come in here with a chip on their shoulder, and they want to be better. Every time they get on the field, they want to show the world that they should have been taken at a higher pick, that they aren't developmental, right? I want a guy who has something to prove. And arguably Cam Newton was that guy, even though he was taken number one. Like he was constantly talked about as being a project. Like he's not Blaine Gabbert was better than him with no reason as to do it. And Cam Newton came in there with a chip on his shoulder, and he came out and he showed that he was a elite quarterback there. Early on in his career. I think it's safe to say that a developmental quarterback is better than a guy who's just been, just literally had his ego stroked his entire life as a quarterback. Because I'll be honest with you, large portion of those guys, and I would even put Joe Burrow in the category of people with a chip on his shoulder, because it took.
Does Joe Burrow look like he should be in what was that the vampire movie where they glisten? Twilight. I feel like Joe. All right, so first of all, I think Joe Burrow is the coolest motherfucker on the planet.
Right.
He should be in like an expensive men's clothing catalog.
Nah, I think like when you look at his complexion, he may be a vampire. He may be, and like he is very. He looks like he should be. It's like very pale and dead, but like good looking. I think this guy. All right, and then the recent Joe Burrow is the coldest motherfucker. Like he don't get shook. He don't get shook. I love to say he looks ice. He's ice cold, cold. These are all vampire type monikers. Number one. Number two, he kind of looks like it. Number three. There is a big. I saw a story floating around that he is well regarded in the bedroom by women. Like so,
what?
Joey.
How the hell did you hear this? And why is it that you have this information?
It said Joe Burrow, good on the field and off the field. That was the title of the show, basically. And on top of that, but this is what I'm starting to think is this: vampires, they know how to do. They get that Joe Bone. Joe Bone. He not Joe Burrow. He Joe Bone.
So are you telling me they're interviewing
glamour people? They can glamour people and make you come in. Joe Burrow is a vampire, bro. He's a vampire, and I'm rooting for him.
I have nothing else to say.
I won't
don't
refute
even-
your logic there.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
So they're just interviewing his prior partners. So, how's old Joe where it
No,
counts?
like he went to, first of all, a college that has a lot of hot chicks at LSU. He was a part of a team that's the best team ever, and we have social media, so there's like girls and his girlfriend like oh man, and then you get these porn girls sliding his DM. Basically, the world gets out. The word gets out.
I thought he had a girlfriend.
The worm gets out.
No, I think you're the one just starting the rumor right now because you really want that to be true.
I swear to God.
I think
All right,
this is
here.
a Tony. No, this is
Joe
a Tony thing.
Burrow.
It's
Good.
this
How
is a
about this?
Tony thing.
Good with women. I'm gonna put that. Good with women.
Tony
Let's see
thing.
what that puts in.
You're so thirsty, Tony.
What?
You're like one of these college girls. The way you talk about Cam and then Teddy, the way he was packing. Oh, and then Gardner Minshew. Oh, that's your man, baby. That's your man crush. Now you're talking about Joe Burrow.
You
Dude,
just
I would
don't
hate to
see,
look at your
man. A
searches,
man takes care of his business. Joe Burrow, like the girls be nice, be like, they be talking behind your back. First of all, this is women talk. They talk.
Hey,
And
you
these
know what we ought
girls
to
have
do,
been
Tony?
talking
Tony, you know
about
what you
Joe
ought to
Burrow,
do?
bro.
Tony, fuck, marry, kill. Jimmy Garoppolo, Gardner Minshew, and Joe
Oh yeah,
Burrow.
dude, I'm telling you, I root for all these people, man. Get them.
No, but
bro.
I
Give them
think
their-
Tony answered the question.
Yeah, do you know what fuck, marry, kill is? You got to pick one to fuck, one to marry, one to kill.
Oh, give me the choices again.
Joe Burrow, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Gardner Minshew. You're already thinking way too hard about this.
All right, we're not gonna do this. Let's go on to. No, I've been trying to think of this. Who do I want to murder out of that group? I'm not murdering Minshew.
Is that
Probably
really the question?
murdering Joe Burrow because I think he may be a vampire. Stake
You'd be
through the
afraid
heart.
for your life. It
Yeah,
would suck
stake
your
through the heart.
blood. Ooh.
I would
Unless
love
you're
to
into
become
that
a
kind of thing.
vampire. Make me a vampire. I will fuck y'all bitches up afterwards. And I hate to go to bed anyway. I'm perfect for that.
I'm a
love the
werewolf,
nightlife.
bro. You don't scare me.
Yeah,
I've
you
seen
are.
Blade too
Yeah,
many
you need to
times.
shave your shit. All right, those are all the calls. I want to talk a little bit about the NFL briefly. The Super Bowl is here.
It is.
Was here, man. That we've got in two ways. Speaking of Joe Burrow, cold as Joe Burrow, we've got two teams that are polar opposites when it comes to meeting in this. Is that you have a team that's kind of like constructed in the Rams, not kind of, but has been constructed to win now. And when you know what I'm saying, like they are aggressively, they know they have talent, or they think they have talent with Aaron Donald. They go and have Jalen Ramsey. I mean, like Von Miller.
No assembly required. Yeah.
I mean, they've kind of put together the close as you can of a super team that they have mortgaged all their first round draft picks for a few years. They're in. And then on the other hand, you get a team that wasn't supposed to be here. And the Cincinnati Bengals that gave up 8 or 9 sacks against the Tennessee Titans. So you guys' thoughts? Your thoughts?
I was about to say, what's up, Bostonian? You turning into a Pats fan, bro?
Yeah.
Hey, give me your thoughts. How's your fam?
Talk amongst yourselves. I'm getting verklempt is how I would say it. Your thoughts? Your thoughts on this Super Bowl?
So listen, I feel like my opinion is probably very similar to a lot of other people's opinions. I'm going for the Bengals, man. Come on. I love tigers. That's like my favorite animal. I know Tony likes tigers too, man. We know that that's the true king of the jungle, right? The big ass tiger, Bengal tiger. And my thing is this, man. You look at that entire team on offense, and they're able to do everything. Joe Mixon's a powerful runner. They have 2 number 1 receivers in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They have a quality football team, and they're playing their best defense now, man. When you play your best defense late in the season, yeah, man, that's what you want to do. You want to pick at the right time. The problem is, and I know that you all know this firsthand, is that defense wins championships. And that other defensive line has Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and Leonard Floyd. Like, they have a ton of pass rushers over there. And I worry, knowing that Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times against the Tennessee Titans. Like,
now they have a good defensive front. Let's give them their due. They're the only team in the league that had 3 players with 8 sacks on their team.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that's they weren't smucks, but they got 9. So you got to believe that the Rams are looking at like 5 is the minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so torn with this because like I want to see the Bengals win because it's a great story, and you know I like the Bengals more than the Rams. I feel like the Rams are kind of like the Yankees. It's kind of a super team. No sympathy required. That's why I don't really respect Sean McVay. If I had the talent he's had, the years he's had, I think I would be.
You hate all coaches, by the way.
Likely, yeah. But the thing is, I want to see Matt Stafford win a Super Bowl. I think he deserves to win a Super Bowl, and especially after the year Cooper Kupp had, it'd be so disappointing for him not to end with a championship. So I really don't know who I want to win this one, to be honest with you. I just want to see a good game. I don't want to see a blowout.
Stafford's a Georgia kid, ain't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just think he deserves to win, man. I've always thought he's a great quarterback, just in a bad position. And it'd be great to see him win one.
CK, any thoughts on the Super Bowl? Greg, you got the props for us, maybe?
Well, I was just going to throw out, I had a couple of ideas to see if you might want to take a bet on this. I mean, this is not even really a prop bet. This is just kind of a in the game
but like,
bet.
what are the right? So right now the Bengals are 4.5 point dogs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the people think the money's on the Rams to win. Mm-hmm. Vegas thinks the Rams are gonna win. But the Cincinnati Bengals are a cool story. They're a cool story, but it's an underdog story. They have a puncher's chance.
Very much so.
Is there any? Are there any? It's almost like it's Jamar Chase. It's Jamar Chase, right?
Yeah.
Right. I didn't want to get him mixed up with the guy that went to the Dolphins, who was, like him versus who's their corner, Jalen Ramsey. Man, like there's some cool story.
That's gonna be the matchup.
Well, here I'll throw a couple out there. Y'all tell me if y'all want to take me up on those or not.
All right.
I'll do $5.
Well, how about we just talk about them real quick?
Okay. Well, I was gonna say the first touchdown of the game is gonna be a passing touchdown from Stafford to Kupp. Would y'all have taken me at $5 on that bet? Y'all take the field.
I take Stafford to Kupp only.
Stafford to Kupp only.
Yeah, I'll take the field.
Take the field. All right. I had Odell Beckham will have more receptions and touchdowns than Jamar Chase.
Say it one more time.
Odell Beckham basically will have a better game than Chase. More receptions and touchdowns. Or at least as many touchdowns. They may have one piece, but
damn, that's tough. Yeah, I think now that might actually be. I don't know, man. Like they're figuring out a lot of ways to get Odell the football. Like they're actively making it a point to do it, and now he's played his best few games recently. I think he's had 2 touchdowns in both or something like that.
Yep.
So. Yeah, I think I might go Odell on that one.
Yeah, I probably would have taken Odell on that one too.
And dude, isn't he like the perfect player for Los Angeles? Like, dude, he's the kind of player that he
belongs there. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
That's where he needs to be.
And the only other one I had written down was the line. Like, are y'all taking the Bengals -4? Or I know I think everybody's kind of expecting the Rams to win. I think we're all hopeful the Bengals may win, but I wouldn't take Bengals -4.
The line is Bengals -4?
Right.
No, plus 4. No,
Plus-
no.
Plus
4
4.
and a half.
Plus 4. Oh, is it plus? Oh, sorry.
Pretty sure.
So the Rams are favored by 4.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure the Rams are.
And that's
Yeah.
pretty even considering like it's barely a home field advantage.
4.5. I got 4.5 here.
Yeah. And then
Well, I
just
can
thought
guarantee you the home field advantage is going to feel a lot more in favor of the Bengals with this game.
But then,
Yeah, I
but then
don't-
apparently not though, because all the tickets are like $6,000.
It's in California.
Yeah, I know, but it's like still.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, Bengals fans are going to travel. And I say that this is their first Super Bowl of their generation that they're going to be able to go to. These guys are about to break the bank to get there. You see it happen with the 49ers, and I know they're right down the street, but the Bengals have a widespread fan base that's not just restricted to Cincinnati. The Rams do not have they can't even fill their own stadium up, like in their home field. Like when they play home at like one of their playoff games, NFC Championship, and you still saw more 49ers fans than
The
Rams
Super
fans.
Bowl is kind of like not a fan event though. It's like a
rich people event.
Yeah.
Celebrities, rich people. Yeah. And the thing is too, I think that most of the time, unless you have a team in the game or like some kind of affiliation with the team in the game, most people pull for the underdog anyway, which favors well for the Bengals.
What do you think the most ridiculous bets are? I bet you like it would be like I'm kind of interested in like because there's a lot of shit going on with the NFL and racism. And now we got this a lawsuit against the NFL with racism, and then the halftime show is Snoop, Eminem, Dr. Dre, like all the 90s throwbacks to like the people I love. I wonder, like, there's got to be some weird bet about like, will the person that runs onto the field be white or black? I swear to God.
There probably is.
Yeah. I swear. All right. So we've done that. We've talked about. I don't think there was anything else that really went. Super Bowl prop bets. We've been through about everything on the show that we need to go through. So let's ice some pit. Oh yeah, Tyler Jones says coin flip. Ha ha ha. How about this? Is Cody Lashney gonna feel like a fool on that? Cody Lashney was like, "Oh, you always take heads. You always say it." And then he was like, "Don't take heads.
The last
Don't take heads. Don't take
coin
heads.
tosses
Don't take
have
heads."
all been heads, and one time it wasn't. I feel like I've seen
never
a bunch of
fails,
people
homie.
call tails,
always
only
like
for it
that.
to just fail.
He was
Look,
like,
the thing
"No,
is-
you were so confident. You were so confident." They were like, "Oh God, don't."
I'd
take
do it
heads."
again.
The
I would
trick
do
is
it again.
You were
consistent-
I would
shook, bro.
do it
You were
again.
shook.
The
You
trick
were
is
shook.
consistently call one every time increases your odds of winning, simply because law of averages mean if you can stick with the same one every time, you're going to win more than if you mix it up. That's just
Heads all day,
So
baby.
pick one and go with it. Yeah, it's heads for me. All
Tails
Look, I got
never
a big
fails.
ass
I'm an
head.
ass
There's
man.
no way that
You're
I'm not
a-
picking heads.
Not an ass man. All right. Let's see. I guess that's it. When it comes to, I can't think of anything else we need to talk about when it comes to the show. So,
No.
Can we ice some fools up?
Shit, can we?
Yep.
Of course we can.
I'm gonna take low hanging fruit, so I'll go
Please.
first. My low hanging fruit is going to be, and again, story is yet to come out, but Alvin Kamara at the Pro Bowl. The way it sounds initially, again, this is going to be stories that continue to address, like as it continue to evolve as time goes on. But it sounds like there was an elitist mindset to that elevator, and it ended up in Alvin Kamara getting arrested. And I say, dude wanted to get into an elevator. Alvin Kamara, like the way that it reads in the story, is that Alvin Kamara wanted the elevator to himself, and so he put his hand on the dude's chest. The dude pushed his hand away, and then they started beating him senseless. Again, we'll understand context is going to change that a little bit. But to me, my mindset is I don't care what the circumstances were. And I know people might might have a different mindset than me. I was just raised that, listen, you don't put your hands on somebody else
You
unless
don't
they're
beat
right.
people to the death
Right.
in
And
the elevator.
And there's also the idea of like just doing a beatdown like that as a gang, like I say gang, it sounds bad, but like as a group of people, just continue just beating down on this guy as one guy against 5 or 6 other guys. It just seems, absolutely asinine. And, Alvin Kamara should know better than to let himself stoop to a level that's going to end up him being in jail and facing 5 years in prison. So,
yeah.
Well, ice up. Yeah. I mean, we will have to see what comes out. Anybody else? Well, who's next?
Yeah, I'll go. So, the Houston Texans, they promoted Lovie Smith to be their new head coach, and during the press,
AKA Black Santa.
Yeah, he has a great beard, fantastic
Oh my
beard. Look it
god,
up.
it's so distracting.
So
I hate
he
looking
was
at it. It's so
he was
distracting.
doing his introductory press conference, and sometimes you just get a sign, and it's like, maybe this is the universe trying to tell me something. So they're doing their press conference, and then this happens while their GM Nick Caserio is talking in the middle of the press conference.
A number of different candidates, and that was pretty fluid. I think this process in and of itself is very fluid, and we got a fire, but not use the elevators. Use the elevators. All right, I'll try to talk over the microphone. But anyways, this process is pretty fluid,
so
right?
The fire alarm goes off while they're doing their introductory press conference, and people are joking that it was Brian Flores wearing a mustache, sneaking in, pulling the fire alarm just to piss people off and get them out of there. I just thought that was funny. And by the way, to me, this, as someone who used to be a part of similar shenanigans like this when I was a young lass, this reeks of practical joke to me. Like someone that's just doing this for a yuck. I mean, why else would it go off in the middle of a press conference? I don't think there was an actual fire.
First of all, isn't that the most bougie ass fire alarm in the history of the world?
Yeah.
Like, hello, there is a fire in your proximity. Please move away. It is the most bougie ass fire alarm I've ever heard in my life. Number 2 is the smoke of all the black bodies they were burning in the background. The Houston Texans, man. Gosh, they've been so bad. So bad.
Yeah, rough stuff. But yeah, to whoever pulled that fire alarm and messed up a head coach's first press conference, ice up, son.
Nick Caserio, man, good God, he looked really thin, didn't he?
Ghoulishly, no.
Oh, very ghoulishly. Yeah, did you say ghoulishly?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a perfect way. Yeah, actually, that's a great way of explaining it. All right, Greg, you got an ice up for us?
Yeah, man, mine's a personal one. It's got a little story behind it. So at the house, I've noticed over the last few weeks, the floorboards seem to be swelling. It seems kind of. So I'm okay. So I'm going to call my insurance company, have an inspector come by and look at it and see what's going on. So I call my mortgage company today, which is Freedom Mortgage, and or actually, no, I'm sorry, I called State Farm, which is who I had my homeowner's insurance through, and they told me that because I pay my homeowner's insurance through my escrow, that my lender pays it, annually every year, and they stopped paying it in December 2020. No reason, just stopped paying it. Didn't get just never sent them a check, never contacted me, nothing. So I contact Freedom Mortgage and I ask them what's going on, and Let's start out with I got hung up on 6 times. This is before I got angry. I got angry after the 6th time I got hung up on. And hung up on it was they would put me on hold to get me to the right person, and it would be 15 minutes, and then it would cut out. So after that many times, I'm starting to get kind of upset. Well, I finally get a hold of somebody who's going to try to help me, and they go into my file, and she can't figure out why they've stopped paying the insurance. And so she goes to her supervisor, and her supervisor goes into my file, and he can't figure it out. And they're like, well, we show here that you've been paying it. and you do have a policy. Here's your policy number. I said, okay. Can you tell me the name of the company that's with or phone number? No, we don't know who that is. So they've changed my homeowner's insurance policy and don't know who, without asking me, and don't know who the person, the company is, or a phone number to reach them. So I'm spending all day trying to figure this out, and I finally get it figured out, and I contact these people, and they told me, they were like, when you get home, look under your house, see if there's any leaks. We'll call you and have an adjuster come by this week, which is cool. Okay. After the whole day, no problem. So I get home and I get under in the crawl space, and I'm looking, and the pipe the drain pipe underneath my kitchen sink, where my dishwasher and my kitchen sink go into, is busted. And there's just water and food everywhere.
Oh, no.
Everywhere. I mean, it was insane. So I'm hoping that the insurance covers a busted pipe and it'll cover fixing my floors, because I'm never dealt with this before. But that's going to be the only beneficial part of this does happen, is if I get my floors fixed. But to Freedom Mortgage for switching my homeowner's insurance policy and then not knowing anything about it, not being able to tell me anything about it when I call you, I just fuck up, man. Like, are they allowed to do that? Can they just switch your homeowner's insurance policy?
No, you have the decision on your homeowner's insurance, not your company. Now,
I didn't think so. Yeah.
The alternative here is if for whatever reason, so for instance, a car payment, you're required to have full coverage while you're being, like, your lenders a lot of times will require that in order to be able to finance the vehicle. And if you don't have insurance, they will charge you their own premiums. And at least there's banks around here that'll do that. And then that leaves you kind of holding the bag on a higher premium on that. So I could see that being that would be the only way I could see that being a possibility. Yeah. Anything beyond that is absolutely outside of the realm of norm. Like, that's outrageous.
Yeah, it really blew my mind, man. But like I said, hopefully, I don't even know anything about this insurance company. Hopefully they're going to come in here and they're going to deem that they can fix it. And I know my premium will go up, but it's okay.
All right. So my ice up pick goes to, it's not even like an ice up. I don't even know how to explain this. Is that I take my son he goes to youth group on Sunday night. So I'm driving him to the youth group. It's a big intersection in our town or our city. It's like about as big as you can get. It's where a highway meets another highway. It's like every lane has got 4 lanes, 2 turn lanes. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a big intersection. So I'm sitting there, like, and only the front spot of this turn lane. This truck, I mean, you're watching the traffic goes right across, and this truck goes by, and there's this like paper that just kind of like explodes into the air, like kind of like somebody left either threw something up or just like left a bag open. You know what I'm saying? But it was going fast, and it was a lot. And we're looking at this paper. I mean, it's flipping through the road. I mean, it just happened, like right in front of me. It's like this. And it looked like kind of Bill's size. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, are those coupons? I was like, what the fuck? My son's with me. It's just my son and I was like, man, what is that? And so we're going through this big, and I was like, look, when we turn here, just try to catch a glance of what this is. And he looks over and he goes, look like 100, but with a purple stripe on or something like this. I was like, all right. So you're like, oh, no, this ain't no money. Fuck that. No way. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Bull crap. And so I was like, and I was like, was it money? That's what I said. I was like, was it real? Was it really? Did you see money? Did you see money? He was like, why? He's like, what if it was money? Would you stop? I was like, hell yeah, I would stop this whole goddamn intersection right here and pick up this $50,000 that just flew out. Ooh, I would be like, he was like, I would be getting you out there. I'd be directing traffic. Anyway, so we were joking about it. So I took him and dropped him off. It was only like 2 blocks later. All right, so I drop him off. I come back to the same intersection. I'm sitting at the intersection, and the paper's kind of still blowing around. It's like the last remnants of a lot of it, but it's still a good amount of it. And the shit blows like, so I'm at this another big light. I'm just from another angle. And it blows like close by. And I'm like, God, that kind of looks like money. So I open my door. I get out of the truck. I park. I'm not dick. That's like, all right, I'm open my door. I'm going to get out. I'm going to see if this. So I pick up this piece of paper. I mean, it looks like 100. And this is the best part about it. As soon as I pick it up, the people right beside me, there's a car right beside me. They roll down the window and they go, "Is it real?" They say, "Is it real?" Anyway, it was this. You can go look it up online. It's called movie prop money. I mean, it was money. It was fake money, movie prop money, but it was like fake money, but meant to look at first glance real. Like, so they're in a movie, they open up a suitcase and it looks like money, but it's not real money. So when you look at it, it says movie prop money in one spot. You know, it's got some different things on it. And I'm trying to figure out why the hell they do this. Like, was this an accident? But it was a lot. It was a good amount of it. So I wonder if somebody like drove through the intersection. I watched it kind of happen. I just kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye where it went up. You know what I'm saying? Like it came out. It looked like it came out of the back of someone's truck. But I'm trying to figure out what the fuck happened. And I'm kind of wondering if somebody tried to go through an intersection and throw this money in an effort to create chaos. Like, like if we thought for a second, like we could have all crashed into each other, be like, "Oh, we need the money." But was crazy. And when that, so ice up to the fake money throwers, and hell's yeah to the people that went, "Is it real?" Like, I mean, I'm telling you, like I hadn't even picked it up yet. Like my hand touched it. Like as soon as I touched it, like they were like, "Oh my God, somebody finally got out of their truck and picked it up." You know what I'm saying? Like they were so, I mean, and they were, and I picked it up off the ground as soon as I heard, "Is it real?" Nah, I don't think so. And then I got it in the truck. So that's my ice up story to you. Movie prop money.
Movie prop money.
They were trying to create chaos, man. They were trying to. They did this in the Money Heist. You seen that shit on Netflix? Remember when they blew up or threw all the money out there to create a diversion? That's what that was. I bet you they were doing something funky. They probably robbed the bank.
Maybe.
All right. That's it. C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Each and every night, not each and every night, each and every Tuesday for the last 9 years. Think about that. 9. After this season, I think this is our 9th full season. Pretty awesome. We get up here and we don't stop talking. Cody, I went up on the voicemail today and I started trying to delete some calls to make you feel better. I got through 4. Dude, we've had over 400 calls on this podcast since November.
Damn.
Can you believe that?
Hey, man. C3 Panther Nation.
Calls since
C3
November.
fan base, stay out here, man. We still got 86 people almost 3 hours in, man.
Dope.
We got the
All right.
best fans. We have
You
the best
see where
fans.
I'm at. You see where I'm at. Subscribe. Tell a brother about the fake money that be at the C3 Panthers podcast. Cody Lashney, pass the mic. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, man. You can find me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. Check drafttech.com tomorrow. There's a brand new mock draft for the Carolina Panthers. So, and then also Hey, man, Friday at 7 p.m., we're doing the Friday free-for-all. Be there or be square. You're allowed to come on the show, just like me, Greg, Tony, and CKR right now. Come on. We'll give you the StreamYard, and you can let your opinion be known. We do a brand new mock draft live on the Friday free-for-all where you are all the war room. I'm literally just clicking the buttons. I'm following orders, having a discussion about the draft. It's been an amazing time so far. Come hang out.
Bro, Kev and I have to hit the strip club up. We're gonna drop a whole 100 G's up on this mug. Movie prop
Kevin's the
money.
homie, man.
Movie prop money. All right, who's next?
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Okay, I was gonna say, you can find me at the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter. Super Civil Servants Podcast live Friday 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're covering stuff like Peacemaker, Book of Boba Fett. If anybody hasn't watched Tommy and Pam yet, check that one out, and check out Reacher too. It's a really good show. So we're covering all kinds of
Oh,
stuff.
I
like
just
that.
started watching it last night. First, he's giant. He's so giant, it's weird.
Yeah, that dude's huge, man. He plays
kind
Hawk
of
in
fucking
Titans.
weird.
He plays Hawk in Titans, man. He's a huge guy. Yeah.
Can I make a recommendation to everyone?
Please.
If you're not watching Euphoria, you have to change that.
Good?
Dude, how about not only is it good, it's one of the best things that HBO has ever produced.
Oh, really? Oh, man. I
Dude,
needed
it
that.
is so good. You didn't think that you would ever be into a show about a bunch of drugged out high school kids.
Oh, I totally thought I would be into that, but okay.
Dude, Zendaya is a treasure. That's all I'll say. Everybody go watch Euphoria.
CK, jump in there.
Follow me on Twitter, Cody Swallen.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Yeah, no, I'm
baby.
into that. Bat Daddy, when you guys circle back to Lord of the Rings, hit me up. I've been reading them. I'm trying to figure out if these things are overrated or not. Who knows? I'm into it. All right. I'm glad. Thank you, Cody, for Euphoria. I needed a recommendation like that. Let's get the fuck out of here before all these people hate us and have dystopia instead.
Nah, they love us, and they're going to keep on coming back for more, won't you, C3 family? You know we love you. Until next time, keep pounding.